Five Nights at Freddy's Internet Horror, fan series, ARGs, and mysteries all created by individuals on the internet, which I have talked about many of them, from the most obscure to the forgotten or underappreciated. And today I have for you all a compilation of what I feel are the best ones. So sit back and be ready to be terrified by 3 hours of FNAF Internet Horror. And before we begin, I just wanted you all to know that I did get the He Ate Them tattoo. It hurt quite a bit, and I am currently healing from it at the moment. This was to celebrate 100k subs on YouTube, and I wanted to thank every single one of you for your support and sticking around for this. And I have one more announcement. This Friday, July 3rd, 2026 at 2:30 p.m. EST, the campaign for the Orbit plushie from Makeship will begin, in which we have to reach 200 unique supporters who each pledge $2. Then the plushie will be made. This is a limited time thing, so if you want to have your own little Orbit plushie to hopefully not eat, then click the link in the description and check out the petition that starts again on July 3rd, 2026 at 2:30 p.m. EST. On to the 3 hours of FNAF Internet Horror. When it comes to FNAF media, we have known for a long time that the creations made by people inspired by the franchise have been some of the most horrifying media out there. Not to say that the games themselves can't be scary, but it's when someone who has an even more twisted imagination comes up with something that is darker in so many ways. I'm talking about things like The Walton Files, an animated analog horror style series that is inspired by Five Nights at Freddy's, that created its own story with its own animatronics, that makes FNAF seem more childlike in comparison. Then there's games inspired by the FNAF franchise in some way, with Shipwreck 64, a game disguised as an unfinished 3D platformer with silly mascots which seem to fall apart due to a company's mishandling of the project, when the game itself is hiding secrets way darker than anyone would think without trying the game for themselves. But today, what if I told you that something disturbing was found within the FNAF games themselves? Or more like, they were hidden from us this entire time. 11 months ago, a YouTube channel would appear in which they would document the secrets and findings they would find hiding within the game Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, until they would disappear entirely, leaving us only with some clues to the truth, and revealing the dark secrets behind this company who are covering up something sinister. Let's go back. It's 2019, and we would be teased with one of our first looks at a brand new FNAF game since Ultimate Custom Night in 2018. It would be called Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, a FNAF game completely created for VR headsets, giving us a full-length story that would continue the franchise. And this time, rather than only being produced by Scott Cawthon, it would be created with the help of Steel Wool Games, as we know. And they would continue creating future FNAF games to this day. But with that, we would get our first look at what another company could do with the FNAF franchise, and for their first outing, it was pretty good. Help Wanted gave players a fresh new FNAF experience, and rather it just being a gimmick game, it would actually give players something more lore-wise, and it was just overall a great experience for new and returning players, receiving high scores at the time of its release. But when playing the game, you hear reference to a company that made this game before it being handed over to Steel Wool. It's exSilverParasol Games. Throughout Help Wanted, you can gather tapes to gain information about someone named Tape Girl, in which they detail the strange happenings about the FNAF VR experience, and that this company, SilverParasol, is hiding something. The game would cause an employee named Jeremy to suffer nightmares, and he would start acting odd. The company would start writing up Jeremy's behavior in order to make him seem like a troubled person in order to make the company not look bad. But from what we know, it is possible that Jeremy would take a guillotine paper slicer to cut off his own face, the game itself causing him to go mad. All this reported by someone referred to as Tape Girl, who detailed all the horrible things this company has done, and made sure to leave all of these audio tapes around the game for the players to find. You can also see from a mock-up of the SilverParasol Games website the different things they worked on, supposedly, and the employees of the company. And you can see Jeremy, the employee who died while working on the game. And that leads us to where we are now, with the videos posted by exSilverParasol. Their channel description is as follows. Account created to discuss the mishandling of the Seattle-based game studio, SilverParasol, who were responsible for the development on the project Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, before it was taken over by their current owner, Steel Wool Studios. This company killed my friend. They did this to themselves. And from the beginning, this channel's description is already telling us a different story than what we know so far. You see, it doesn't say that it helped with the Freddy Fazbear virtual experience, but the actual VR game we have in real life. Its actual name, Help Wanted. And this channel references Steel Wool, which is the real company that worked on Help Wanted. The channel alluding to the idea that this company is not as fictional as we originally thought. And when it comes to the game Help Wanted, it already references real life people like Scott himself, but with a different alias being Steve Snodgrass in the game. So what if, just maybe, SilverParasol is a bit more real than we had originally thought? That these dark secrets this company are hiding are darker than we could have even imagined. The first video uploaded is called exSilverParasol-Upload 1. There's no description to the video. The video starts off with the person telling us their name is Gabriella. And if you look at the people who worked at SilverParasol, you can see one Gabriella right there. They tell us that they were a tester hired to work on FNAF Help Wanted before the studio lost the rights, with the company shuttering or shutting down permanently in 2019, and that they feel comfortable explaining what happened. And at first, they saw this while testing, and proceeds to show us something in-game. We see Gabriella in the game, in a dimly lit environment, only illuminated by a single lantern. They inspect the area around them and uncover a pot which has what looks like some unknown but grotesque substance in the pot, before turning around to show us Freddy, and he's changed, not looking like any other iteration of Freddy seen in the games. He has blood coming from his body. He lacks any teeth and eyes, his body being fleshy all over. It's grotesque. Listening closely, you can hear what sounds like breathing. On the last look at him, you can see his jaw twitch, with it making a crackling sound. It's unnerving. They then explain to us that they expressed concerns to higher-ups, in which we are shown a conversation between her and a Dale Simmons, which from the SilverParasol website, we know was someone who also worked there. But from the Help Wanted game, we learn that he was the boss around the company, or at least in the manager's position. Dale starts off by saying, "Jeremy hasn't come into work yet today, and I don't really know what's," and it cuts off that part. He proceeds to ask how the test went and notices how she looked shook up earlier and asks if it scared her. She tells him that it did, and that was actually what she wanted to bring up, and she's concerned. And that she doesn't think that they can ship the game with that Freddy model, stating that it's a kid's franchise. Dale is confused, saying that there's nothing wrong with the model and that it's an accurate recreation. She proceeds to show the model to Dale, comparing to the actual look of Freddy. Dale asks what that top image is, and then she explains it's a screenshot, questioning if he oversaw this being made, and he says no. "So you don't know what this is?" And Dale tells her he doesn't. She says, "If you say so." So either Dale is lying or someone else is adding this to the game. Either way, something is very, very wrong here. She says she needs to investigate, and proceeds to show us footage of her entering a staircase, and that she needs to go back to the offices. It cuts and we are shown a computer screen with Freddy on screen. In some game engine, but looks like to be Unreal Engine. She states there is a new material that was being made in Freddy's folder. It's called, oddly, Joseph's Skin. They drag it onto Freddy. When doing so, it creates this bloodied up effect all over him. Strangely, Joseph is a character we don't know of or haven't heard of yet. Possibly another employee at SilverParasol, but is not one of the listed members. They shift around to show us a better look at Freddy, but oddly enough, the model is nowhere as disturbing as what we saw in the other video. Just simply the blood material is similar. She states that nobody on the team remembered creating this, and she doesn't know who Joseph is. And that is where this video ends. This video already setting up more questions than before, with a lot of this footage and information being dated back to when she first started noticing weird things at SilverParasol, and her simply compiling that information for us years later, exposing it all. But we don't know who is doing this to the game, where the other employee Jeremy is, and who Joseph is, and if Dale is lying or not, leaving us with a lot of questions. Let's go ahead and jump into the second upload. The next video is called exSilverParasol-Upload 2. Gabriella lets us know that they found something new. They were looking at the Freddy model and made a disturbing discovery. They proceed to show us the Freddy model again. They switch the LOD and we see the model that we had seen previously, the one that was in the game. An LOD stands for level of detail, and it's a system that uses simplified versions of 3D models for performance optimization. But with a game like this, you're going to be close up, so the Freddy model is obviously going to look very distorted. They tell us that the model was forced to LOD1 the entire time. They begin to test again, and tell us that the footage they recorded was hasty. The audio didn't record, but they captioned it with what they could remember, and proceeded to show us this. This is some horrifying version of Chica. No beak, no eyes, and you can see her breathing in and out. But Gabriella tells us that this is Heather, with her saying that this model is called Heather, just like how the Freddy model that was distorted was called Joseph. And then proceeds to show us the model in the engine, but this time there's just a massive hole where her face once was, before then leaving the office. The camera cuts and that's it for video 2, with us discovering that there were more than just one model changed and distorted by someone or something at this company, with it seeming to be not hidden from people working on the game, that almost anyone could have stumbled upon this. I mean, there's only 5 people working there. Who could have done this? The next video is titled Upload 3. This video was posted 2 months after the last video, with Gabriella immediately telling us that it's been a while, and tells us that a lot has been going on and apologies for the slowdown of uploads. But tells us around the time they discovered things going on, they started hiding messages for featured testers on the game, which immediately tells us that Gabriella is Tape Girl from Health Wanted, that she was the one warning us about what was going on at this company and that something is very wrong with the game itself, and continued putting future findings as logs in the game without other people at the company finding out. She tells us that the menu button on the left spawns all the tapes, but their DB team used that editor to switch levels. She says that it's very easy to do, but wanted to keep communication limited for the next team so they can actually clean this thing out. And whether she means the corrupted horrifying models or possibly Glitch Trap, which was discovered by Tape Girl and Help Wanted, is unknown. They show us how they managed to pull that off with a little tutorial, but then proceeds to tell us that she attempted to investigate the game itself. And at the time they were working on the level, which was meant to be Funtime Auditorium from Sister Location, they had received good feedback that it scared Scott, and they assumed they were doing good. So after this, she attempted to explore the map of the FNAF 1 game mode, using that mode's flash beacon, to see if she could find Joseph or Heather somewhere within that part of the game. But she says she doesn't even know how to describe what she saw. We cut to her in the FNAF 1 office. Immediately something is off. When glancing by the security cam, you can see Freddy, but he's not right. She splashes down both sides of the hall repeatedly, looking for a sign of anyone, until something does appear. For some reason, when Bonnie showed up, he had this shining light come from their face, and emitting some static noise as well, causing Gabriella to fall through the floor into a party room. She tells us that this place went for what felt like forever. She continues through the party room, emitting her bright light as she goes. She touches the piano, which immediately causes the game to crash. This not being the first time we saw a piano in the game, with it showing up when she was inspecting Freddy. It also makes me nervous if something might have been watching her in this empty space. It doesn't seem like she would be alone in there. That thought alone is terrifying. She tells us that she searched the files to find Bonnie and that there was another LOD. And then shows us this. It's Bonnie, but with no eyes and no teeth similar to Freddy, but lacking any blood on him. She tells us that this variant is called Beacon and asks us, this creature created itself on the fly to stalk me? Posing a question that would make me feel that this isn't just the work of someone messing with the game files, but something is alive in the game. That these animatronics might actually be possessed, and if not, then something in the game is corrupting them and controlling them, distorting them to cause harm to whoever. Let's move on to the final video. The last video uploaded was 8 months ago, and it's called Small Update 1. Gabriella tells us that they had a theory brewing for some time, that she is probably going to sound crazy, but she truly does believe this. And this all started with their exchange from Fazbear Entertainment. It cuts to her walking down the same staircase we've been seeing of the building. She tells us at the start of development, they were given old show tapes from a vintage Freddy's location up in Utah, which if you don't remember back in the early days of FNAF conspiracies and lore, there was this image that was floating around the web with people assuming that it came from Utah, when it turned out to be a fan-made image. But following this, Scott made it canon that Freddy's was located in Hurricane, Utah. But Fazbear Entertainment also sent an email with a simple GUI software called reel2reel.exe, which for those who don't know, reel-to-reel is a type of audio recorder that uses magnetic tape, and it looks like this. It's old, and it's interesting that they sent an exe titled that. They were prompted to import the show tape through the program, and what comes out the other end usually looks like nonsense. A .r2r file, and no way to decode it. But that's when they had to use the plugin. They tell us that Fazbear Entertainment actually wrote up an Unreal Engine plugin that allows a user to translate the reel-to-reel export into actual game data, showing us this plugin called FazLink Reel-to-Reel Integration, with Helpy being the icon for it. Upon importing the file, you'd be able to generate new blueprints from the show tape data. Once a skeletal mesh is selected, it creates a full blueprint, ready for use. But none of it was programmed by them, as if it was self-programmed or this plugin did it. She tells us what she thinks happened was something involving the plugin, and that it had been creating the LOD creatures she had been encountering, but she still had to keep searching, and that it can't just have been the plugin. But in doing so, she found something odd. She proceeds to show us some of the text that's been coming from this program, and she says she was right. The text says, "It's gonna be alright, Joseph." So, what's been happening here? So it's been 8 months since an update from exSilverParasol or Gabriella. We have not seen them appear anywhere. Why? Is it possible that they figured out too much? Did the game drive them to insanity like that of Jeremy? Or did they realize that people weren't paying attention and they just gave up hope on exposing this company? Well, let's try and tie everything together first. Firstly, this series of videos seems to blend fictional companies like the Fazbear Corporation and the real-life people like Scott Cawthon and the game company Steel Wool, and the location people thought this restaurant was located, all alluding to this idea that maybe some of the things made up in the series were a little bit more real than what was let on, with Fazbear Entertainment still being portrayed as a shady company. But as we know, in Help Wanted, there were tapes sprinkled around exposing this game and the company they were working for by someone named Tape Girl, which we now know is Gabriella. She tells us that this company has led people to their death, covered up incidents, and is allowing these horrifying things to run rampant in the game that they were working on for Fazbear Entertainment. With it seeming like this plugin supplied by Fazbear Corporation is allowing something supernatural into the game. with these characters from the games now turning into these horrifying creations that are named after people like Joseph and Heather, that maybe, just maybe, that these are more victims of this corporation now uploaded into the Help Wanted game and now are living in the game and suffering. If not, then someone is maybe trying to warn people that this company is possibly killing people and is using this as a way of giving hints to that, with the text, "It's gonna be alright, Joseph." Possibly letting them know that they will be set free or avenged, or something along those lines. And of course, there's the mystery of Beacon, this version of Bonnie that doesn't have an actual normal name, but it's like some sort of security for those who try to look too hard, or possibly due to the name being Beacon, being a beacon of hope, helping guide those who are trying to find out what is happening. Sadly, it's all a bit of a mystery, and as of now, we have no idea what happened to Gabriella. If she's out there, or okay, we can only wait and see. Today, I want to show you all and talk about a series that I feel has been forgotten, and also went kinda under the radar. A series that is presented as a cartoon. But this isn't an innocent cartoon series for kids. No, this is something way, way darker. It's called Fazbear Cassette Cartoons by Red Rock Studios. The first video is called Take Cake. It's a simple video showing off what looks like Freddy doing a little walk in the dark. He's carrying a cake, but something's a little off with his look, with him wearing a red vest. He continues to walk back and forth over and over, at least until he looks at the camera. We see text come on screen and it says, "She was all alone. What a poor little girl. She was so lucky to have been found," when we suddenly see the puppet's face appear in the background. Going back earlier in the video, we see the face of Freddy appear close to us. But behind him is what looks like Purple Guy, standing in front of a child as they start to cry uncontrollably. Whether or not the person speaking to us is the child inside Freddy or the puppet recalling what happened to them is not told to us. The next video is called Go Go Go. It starts off with a slow zoom in on Foxy's stage, and the curtains are closed. When suddenly we see Foxy appear from behind the curtain as he peers around looking sneakily around the area to see if the coast is clear. The camera angle changes and it starts to look like the Go 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 minigame from FNAF 2. When suddenly, Foxy appears striking a pose for all of the children as they all cheer for him.
Ahoy, all ye scallywags! It be a sure to see you all crowding round.
It goes black when we are taken back to the stage again for another zoom in, and Foxy does the same thing appearing around from behind his curtain. We follow him again into the other room to join a group of children yet again. Except when Foxy enters, the children are acting strange, with them all looking towards something else and are completely silent. He enters and says none of y'all have been watching your backs, but for some reason it doesn't get the attention of the children for a second. But then they all suddenly turn around screaming yay for him arriving. It goes black again when this time we are shown Foxy sitting on a stage looking sad when Freddy comes up to talk to him. And also Freddy is voiced by Agent P-Man1, the creator of Fazbear Toddler Fun.
Hey there, what's with the long face, Foxy?
I think the kiddies are starting to forget me, Freddy. You think I won't be known no more?
Foxy, that's ridiculous. Of course the kids love you. Everyone does.
I know. Maybe I just wish they'd stay longer.
Maybe me and the crew could reschedule how much time you have with the kids if that makes you feel any better.
Freddy is cut off by Purple Guy, who stands ominously in the dark. He says that I will make sure that your audience will stay forever, my fox friend. Before we see him lower a knife down, and the screen starts to glitch. We once again cut to Foxy peering out the curtain and going to the other room, except he's greeted with a horrifying sight.
Ahoy there, all me. What the hell?
What's the matter, Foxy?
What'd you do to the kitties?
You said you always wanted them to stay longer. Now that's what they'll only do. I hope you enjoy your new friends, Foxy, cause they'll be with you forever, ever, 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 ever,
Hello?
ever, 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 ever.
Purple guy killed the kids. Who says that all of the kids will stay with Foxy forever? It's a gruesome scene with all the children murdered by this monster. And this depiction of William or Purple guy is disturbing to say it the least. With his long and eyeless face, and he keeps a smile on him at all times. His whole body is purple and he moves irregularly. He doesn't even look human in the way he's depicted. The next video is titled Give Gifts, Give Life, which is the name of the puppet minigame from FNAF 2. We are shown the previous scene from when we saw the kids last, when the puppet appears. She says hello to the dear children, and says how much she pities them for meeting the happy man, which what we will call the purple guy from here on out. We are shown the children again as they all lay lifelessly near each other.
Please don't worry. I have a special gift for each of you. What's wrong? Don't you want these gifts? They're always what you wanted.
They say this in response. We want our vengeance against the happy man. She goes around to all the children and puts the mask of the 4 main animatronics on the kids, before suddenly Golden Freddy takes up the screen briefly as he screams. We are then presented with a newspaper article reading, "The investigation continues. Investigation into the recent disappearances of 5 children at the local family restaurant, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, is still underway. As of June 30th, the children remain missing and the local authorities are keeping a close eye on their ever-narrowing list of suspects. The restaurant staff has declined any comment, and the police force has been slow to speak as well. We're working as hard and as fast as we can to bring the children back home safe, and to bring whomever responsible to justice," said Gussie Brown, local chief of the Hurricane Police Department. We are then told that the story has been shown to us now. It was fun laughing at these tall tales, but now it's time to move on, before we are shown Freddy Fazbear's Pizza logo, with it saying it's coming in November 1986. Everything we have been shown so far is just a prelude to what is to come in the next couple videos, with us being shown the events from the minigames from FNAF 2 in a new light. I do believe that the one talking to us is the puppet, but I'm not 100% sure, as I describe the events and them acting as sort of a storyteller. The next video is called Save Them, which is also a minigame from FNAF 2. We start off with us seeing the puppet and Freddy. Everything that is told by this Freddy is told to us through captions. He says Charlie, the name of the person who haunts the puppet. The puppet says the name Franklin and that he needs his help. The person haunting this Freddy animatronic. She tells him that the happy man is back and he is on the hunt again and we need to save them. He follows the puppet through the building, but Franklin cannot keep up, and even says for Charlie to wait up. He reaches a red room and completely loses Charlie, asking where she is, with him just staying there before he says he's lost. The next video is titled Save Her, and picks up right after the previous video, with Freddy or Franklin finding the animatronics, except they're all sitting lifelessly on the ground. Franklin calls out the names Daryl, Bridget, and Brady. None of them respond. But suddenly the name Cassidy appears, with Golden Freddy appearing out of nowhere. as Golden Freddy glitches on screen, causing the tape to cut. Suddenly, text appears. It says, "Oh Franklin, how much I wish I was like you. Still able to move around, surrounded by friends, while I'm stuck in a lifeless suit. I still remember that day at Freddy's. It was my birthday. I was turning 5. I let you invite your friends to the party. We went to Freddy's and I had such a fun time. It was my happiest day. But then, a rabbit showed up. It wasn't on the stage. This one was yellow. I still remember what it said. Hey kiddos. Say, would you like to see a wonderful surprise? Follow me." I didn't trust him. I tried to warn you, but you didn't listen. It led us and your friends to that room. It was too dark for me to see what happened. All I could do was hear, and here I did. As we see all the faces of the children on screen, their faces are damaged and disfigured. I was the only one who was still alive. I was stuffed in the yellow bear suit when I woke up. I stopped crying after the locks went off. We see Golden Freddy or Cassidy as they lay on the ground lifeless. They continue. Now we're here, suffering for so long. You need to save them, Franklin. Save me. And then this. We learn from this that the person speaking to us the entire time was Golden Freddy, or Cassidy, as they recollect on the horrifying events of all their deaths. That she blames him and the rest, and that they have to do something about it. About him. That she is powerless against him because of her animatronic suit, unable to move. That she has no choice but to watch as everyone suffers and can't help. It's heartbreaking. The next tape continues right after the Save Her tape, with this one being called You Can't. With Freddy now heading to the dining room. He travels throughout the pizzeria before stumbling upon the puppet again. He asks, Charlie, where is he? Before this happens. And epilepsy warning for this part of the video.
There he is, Franklin! Stop him! Kill him! We can't let him get away!
Oh, silly dear. How blind you are during this occasion. It's too late. You can't.
Something that Franklin says can't be heard, but in the captions, he says that he doesn't think he can when it comes to killing him. And when he is attacked, he says that he can't again. And I can imagine why it's hard for him, because Franklin is still a child. He's afraid and can't bring himself to do that, leaving him at the hands of the Happy Man again. The next video is called Closure, with this one actually having a description, with it saying that after being only open for a short few weeks, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is closing its doors. The new animatronics will be scrapped due to possible malfunctions. However, the original characters are being kept in hopes of a possible reorganization of the company. It's a minor setback. We are confident that we will reopen someday, even if it is with a much smaller budget. CEO of Fazbear Entertainment. The video opens with the puppet as she tells us a story. It is a story about a man and a fox. We are shown what looks like a children's book. It says, once upon a time, laid a hunter. He had a gun, no need to ponder. He shot and killed the wood's innocents. 6 in total were the kills to begin with. When a new hunting ground opened, for all the hunters to spread free, except for one hunter, who broke the rules repeatedly. There were limits and rules to hunting. He broke countless rules, no need for grunting. He marched in anger but still thought, how was he going to keep his streak on? An idea started to sprout, one of bright. He was going to on a disguise. He snatched a guard's clothing and snuck in, ready for his hunting to begin. Little did he know while in the woods was a white fox lurking within. The white fox heard about the stories told about the ruthless killer. To show the world what he beholds, the white fox knew they couldn't get away, and thus the fox climbed up the trees. The fox couldn't let him take their prey. As the hunter stood still, awaiting its victims, the white fox was above, where it was risen. And then suddenly, the story changes.
The hunter still stood, not knowing the upcoming womp, as the white fox jumped and bite down with it.
So this story seems to at first tell us that Mangle attacked and bit the hunter, aka the Happy Man, who went into disguise in the story, when he went into disguise as a security guard to commit more murders. Trying to stop him from doing any more harm, Mangle bit him. But a detail that is easy to miss is that William is shown to have a ponytail through the story, but the one who was bit didn't. It's not William. It was most likely Jeremy. It's a hard detail to notice, so we would think that William was attacked and killed, but William still lurks out there, hiding somewhere. The end of the video shows Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closing, and the end. But you've seen the runtime of this video, we aren't done yet. The next video is called 5 Missing Children. It's the longest video in the series. We start off this video with seeing the Happy Man as he gets into the Spring Bonnie suit. He comes upon a little girl who's crying and asks her what's wrong. She tells him that her dog was ran over, but he tells her that he's not really dead, and he's over here, before we see in the darkness her face filled with fear as he stands behind her, before he tells her to follow him. He brings her through the restaurant, and he finds another child to bring to join for the surprise. They make it to the main stage where he tells them that it's time to watch the show. We watch as the animatronics perform a song for the audience, all of them having an uncanny look to them as they stare at us. They sing the song Freddy Fazbear Has Great Pizza song by Zip Zipper from 10 years ago. The performance finishes and they continue on. They find a kid alone who's waiting for Foxy to perform, but he tells the child that he knows a special place for Foxy to meet him. He then comes across 2 more children and invites them along for the special surprise as well, getting 5 children to follow him into the back room. They ask where the surprise is, but he takes off his suit and the lights go dark. And then we see the faces of all the children as they scream, and then the face of the smiling man as he takes over the screen. Foxy shows up in the room, showing us the same scene we saw in the Go 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 video. But we see what happens after this, with Foxy laying on the ground and the smiling man leaving the room. Later on, the puppet shows up and talks to the children.
Why, hello there, my dear children. I have seen what has happened to you. I know how it feels. Please come out. I have a special gift for each of you. Yes, yes. Follow me. Go on. Go give them life.
We watch as all the animatronics possess the children, leaving them, looking like these horrifying versions of the characters, with them twitching violently and blood coming from the animatronics. And we see the moment when Cassie was the only one left alive, before she gets spring-locked within the Golden Freddy suit. While this shows the moments we have seen before, we get the full story of the event that happened that day. The final video is called Yellow Bear. This time we are shown an actual minigame with Fredbear walking, with Tilly glitches on the wall and freezes before his sprite looks at the camera, and we see this. This video is showing the amount of time passes 10 years have gone by since they have died, saying that they were never getting out of there. At the moment, still stuck as a lost soul haunting the animatronics. In the description of this video is a string of numbers and letters. It's a code, and it's hexadecimal. When decoded, it reads this: confusion, terror, then pain. Nothing but pain. The locks went off. She screamed as loud as she could. No one could hear. No one was there. Was this her happiest day? It felt like it never was. It felt like it never will. A sad poem, mainly focusing on Cassidy, and the moment she died again. This whole series seems to really focus on Cassidy and the events of her death. Now it seems that she is suffering the most out of any of the characters in the series, even though they all met a gruesome end. While most of the series does take a lot of inspiration from the minigames, as well as other animated series involving FNAF, I think the artwork and design of the characters as well as the voice acting really sells this series. Not only is the Smiling Man honestly such a great design, but the way he's presented with text-to-speech being the way he communicates, and almost nothing about him feeling human makes it feel like he's truly a monster. I also think that while this series does reuse some moments, I still think it works and recontextualizes events from earlier that we saw. The Fazbear Cassette cartoon was truly a horrifying series that really gives us a closer look at some of the events shown in FNAF 2, but in a new light, while also telling its own moments that allowed for its own story to shine. And yes, this seems to be where the series ends. The last time this series was touched was back in 2021, and nothing else has come from it since. Something is wrong with this version of FNAF. Five Nights at Freddy's is no stranger to odd versions of its games that are very detached from the originals. Whether it's malware versions of FNAF that are like downloading a game with a virus attached and have a bunch of spooky things going on, or there's corrupted versions of the games that have something malicious hiding within the game, like that of the legendary Stingray version of FNAF 2, that feels very removed from what FNAF is usually like. Which, I have talked about that on the channel before, so you should check out that video. But today we are going to talk about something that feels like the most horrifying of the bunch. It's something called Malignant FNAF, which I will say are the most creepy versions of the FNAF games by far, with there being two Malignant versions of FNAF 2 and 3. Malignant pretty much having two definitions, being malevolent but also infectious. So it's not only that these games have something evil in them, but something that is almost like a virus. The game's taking what our usual FNAF antics and showing us something way darker than what we usually know from Five Nights at Freddy's. To illustrate what I mean, we should take a look at a video posted by CronusX, just recently called FNAF 3 Malignant. The description of the video simply says, a fan game of FNAF 3 found on a little-known fan game website. When starting the game, we are shown a normal warning screen for a FNAF game with seizure warnings, loud lights, and fast movements. But in the background, we can see a very disheveled black and white version of Springtrap, which totally doesn't look like something else that haunts me every day, and a little guy smiling next to him. He seems very nice. But moving on to the title screen, we just see FNAF 3 Malignant, with 3 stars and Springtrap doing his usual tweaking face. They start up the game and they simply have to survive until dawn. But then the game starts.
My name is Walter Hartwell White.
And something is already amiss. In the corner of the office, we can see the upper torso of Toy Bonnie hung up by wires on the ceiling, looking like he was ripped right in half and his eyes are hollowed out. We'll just pretend he's taking a nap, but other than that, most of the FNAF 3 office is the same. Well, except for the game starting at 1 AM and the door to the left of the office is just pitch dark, which if FNAF 3 was like this from the get-go, I'd be shaking and sweating. The player tries out the monitor system and it's not the usual panel from FNAF 3, but is a UI that takes up the whole screen. It's called the Fazbear Fright System 8387, and we can see the Fazbear Frights logo in the corner. with everything being similar functionally except for an option to reboot cameras not being there. Hopefully that won't be important later. The player moves on to the camera system, which also looks a bit different, but functionally works the same, and the usual camera angles are there, and all the spots in the cameras are identical to the original game. And the option, of course, to play audio. To play those sick beats for Springtrap. Go British boy, go. But we get a look at Springtrap, and he's doing his little peek into the camera. And we get a full look at him. And out the gate, he already looks way, way different. And honestly, way more terrifying than Springtrap did before. With him having this big smile and the one eye being more sunken in. And the way he stares is just way more off-putting because of how visually clear he is. But since he's starting to move, the player decides it's time to play an audio to lure him backwards. But I don't know about you guys, but this does not sound like Balloon Boy at all. But with this, we get our first look at one of the phantoms, and yeah, it's bad. Chica, I don't think I like you anymore. Chica has no bottom jaw and her eyes are sunken in, and out of the side of her body is this open jaw with sharp teeth. Everything about her is so wrong, and even the movement of her had me tweaking. But after getting the ventilation up, the player keeps playing the game, luring Springtrap around the cameras. Well, that's until he finds another phantom. Great, awesome. Not only is every single animatronic phantom and Springtrap the most disturbing versions of them I have seen, but also they are doing stuff like that. With this version of the phantom puppet having more human-like eyes and almost like their jaw's been ripped open. But they will do what they do in FNAF 3 and sit in front of the player's face as you move back and forth. But they also let out an ear-piercing static noise. This just keeps getting better and better, huh? But as the player keeps going through the night, which 4 minutes in and it's only 2 a.m., they are then attacked by another phantom, and this time, it's Freddy. Honestly, compared to everything else we have gotten, this wasn't as bad. I would rather take a floating head of Freddy over everything else we have gotten in the game so far. But of course, nothing is good and dandy in the game, and William, he Afton, has arrived at the window.
I know who you are.
Okay, I just want to say that I did not know the security guard was moving like that. Literally just shanked Springtrap in the neck while he was straight up being choked out. Props to you, cause holy moly. But we of course notice that Springtrap says, "I know who you are." It's cool to have William actually speaking and saying lines as Springtrap, which feels kind of fitting instead of him just letting out this noise.
What are you gonna say now?
But the night continues on, and we get another phantom being Mangle, attacking the player and setting more stuff off. But from what we can see from this version of Mangle, she's, I guess you could say, sick and twisted. But she has multiple wires and pieces of animatronic attached to her, with Freddy's head, and you can see her with the hook hands. But also just straight up a human arm coming out of her, which I hope that's not mine. But as the night goes on, more and more phantoms come out to attack and disrupt the player, with 3 a.m. just ramping up in difficulty, but also something odd happens. We see Toy Chica in the window for a second before she leaves, with her having this big grin on her face. She of course leaves for now, but I'll come back to her later. And Springtrap attacks again, with him this time saying,
Come with me, my cow.
Okay, obviously Michael is not playing around with this, but it's also cool for Springtrap to tell us right out that this is Michael, which we know nowadays with FNAF lore, but man, if we had gotten this back in 2015, this would have saved us a lot of time. Anyways, 4 a.m. hits and we see this. This part being a reference to the FNAF 3 glitch hoax thingy, in which we see this image on screen at the end of FNAF 3. But as we know, or if you didn't know, it's an edited image of this dog in the back of a car. So, nothing to be scared of. Well, honestly, I am kind of scared of this dog, staring at me all funny like. But as the player goes on through the night, they manage to figure out the best ways to avoid getting attacked by the phantoms, aka just not looking at them pretty much, when they come on screen. So, just like the OG FNAF 3. It hits 5 a.m. and then all of a sudden, everything, and I mean everything, goes off the rails. A system emergency protocol goes off, because I guess William just had enough, with the amalgamation of animatronics coming at the player where they have to use a Freddy mask to hide from it. Sounds are blaring and the lights are just all red. Not only are they time limited, but they have to get the system going while all this chaos goes on. But they manage to get the system going last second and open the door and leave. Phew, but not everything is over. We watch as the player we've been watching play, close the game and go to desktop, and you can overhear their footsteps as they walk away from the computer. When they are gone, we see a message pop up that someone is accessing their webcam, and we can see the same figure we saw in the background at the beginning of FNAF 3 Malignant. And then we see the computer fully change, and we witness a recording of the player's bedroom and other things being recorded, a bunch of files that are definitely theirs, and a message log in the corner, a back and forth between two people, saying,
Are you perhaps trying to tell me how to do my job?
No, what I'm trying to say is that you were offline for a week.
I just need to take care of some pending matters.
Do you at least have a new target?
Yes, I've already started recording it.
Great. And what's his IP address?
I'll be sending it to you along with some recordings.
Okay.
So from everything we saw, this is not only a very corrupted version of FNAF, but it seems that this is part of some scheme to steal information from users who downloaded this version of it, with two people targeting people who do, which honestly is a scary thought. And something I've worried about when downloading random FNAF games on different game websites, because who knows if I'm about to get a virus or something that steals all of my information. And it's just a genuine fear. But what's odd is how these people making this virus version of FNAF and putting it online are making it purposely horrifying for players, and as scary as they can. It's a whole scheme where people are finding a weird version of FNAF and downloading it to try it out, or they think they were getting FNAF 3 for free, and the people putting it out there are punishing them for that, but it is labeled as a fan game, so it seems to be they're just up to some evil shenanigans. Either way, messing with all of their stuff. But you see, this is not where the story ends. We actually have to go back to the beginning. You see, this video is actually a sequel to another FNAF video called FNAF 2 Malignant. In this video, we witness similar going-ons with what we saw in the FNAF 3 video, with the home screen being all odd and the animatronics not looking how they should, with this one starting off with, you've returned to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place to settle some unfinished business, but as you enter, you hear footsteps, and then your vision goes dark and a sharp pain pierces your head. When you open your eyes, you're here, trapped in a hell with demons, tasked with making you suffer as much as possible. Try to survive? Your torment begins now. with this game having it where you have an actual attack button being across. And of course, a camera system where you'll see the horrifying versions of animatronics like Toy Freddy, Toy Chica, which we saw in FNAF 3 Malignant, and Mangle attack the player where they are forced to use a cross to make them disappear. As well as when they are playing, we constantly see crying children laughing as they pop up on screen. And we can see the hints of what's going on pretty early in the game. With mid-video, we see where they downloaded the game from, and probably where all these versions of FNAF are being put online for people to download. But for us viewing, the link is blurred, fortunately, because I don't think anyone would want to download this version. And when the website ad pops up with Sonic and Tails, we see a message briefly telling us they are already in our PC. Which I'm confused why the person playing didn't just shut down their computer immediately, but maybe they didn't see the message. And similar to the other game, when 5 AM hits, everything changes, with the cross being thrown out, and the player has to survive with covering their eyes instead to hide from animatronics. As well as these screaming faces appear on the camera system.
Let's see how long you can go without it. Look at me. Look at me.
They make it to 6 AM and win after everything. But this time, instead of us seeing them head to the desktop of their computer, we see the person we have been seeing over and over appear on screen.
Thank you so much for playing my game. I dedicated a lot of time creating all of this for you. The sounds, the images, the scares. My intention was to make you believe that it was, in fact, a bad game. You believed in it without knowing it. Let me in. Now I have total control over your computer. Allow me to reveal what's really behind this game. Actually, for you, the game ends here. But for me, it's only just beginning. Want to understand better? Just don't take your eyes off the screen. The fun is just beginning.
Okay, do not, and I mean do not, download free versions of FNAF Online, because you'll end up with a lot of this happening to your computer. Which, you know what? I'm good. Hey look, someone made their own version on GameJolt. How nice. I am not downloading that. Which, the gameplay of it and everything that happens in that game is pretty much bar for bar with the original video, but it's still kind of peak. And kind of horrifying. But with these two versions of FNAF 2 and 3, we witnessed the horrifying animatronics that are actually probably one of the most scary iterations of them I have seen in a FNAF video or game. And I would hate, and I mean hate, having to actually play against these because I would probably be too scared to do anything while playing them. Plus, I suck at most fan games in general, but that's besides the point. But overall, it does make me wonder why they chose FNAF games to hack people's computers instead of, I don't know, GTA 5 free version or something. But honestly, either way, it turns out the creepy factor by a ton when you not only have corrupted and horrifying versions of the already scary FNAF games, but to add another layer under that where it turns out you kind of got trolled and whoops, all your money and information is gone. GG. Easy. No 401k for you. And on top of that, I wonder what happens to the victims of these people stealing their information. Are they just, like, screwed, or does something else happen to them? Because we see the camera of one of these people's rooms and he's chosen as a target, and they wanted recordings of him. It could just be blackmail, but it makes me wonder if something even more sinister is going on. Like these people are being kidnapped or worse. I'm not sure, but still a scary thought either way. But honestly, it would be cool if we got a full 7-night version of these games that were actually playable. Even though one already exists, it's just very similar to the video. And I'd probably, maybe if I'm not too scared, play it if they did. But I am excited for the next video in the Malignant series, which will probably be about FNAF 4, but we'll see what they do with that. Or maybe they'll go back to FNAF 1. A video will be uploaded to the channel DBL titled Five Nights at Crocky's Trailer 1 Reupload. In the thumbnail showing a crocodile animatronic, and in the description it says this: Reupload of a trailer for an obscure, most likely lost FNAF fan game called Five Nights at Crocky's. The game's Game Jolt page was made around August of 2016, eventually releasing in December of the same year to somewhat praise. Unfortunately, almost 2 whole weeks after its release, the game page and a good half of its content, including a game page for the sequel, was deleted. While some of it may have been because of the creator losing interest in FNAF, others say it was deleted by Game Jolt themselves for violation of certain terms of service, or possibly even mass reported. Hopefully, if I ever find anything else, I'll upload it here to my channel. The video shows the trailer for Five Nights at Crocky's, in which we see the pizzeria that this place takes place in, showing us a drawing of Crocky on the wall and shots of Crocky and other animatronics that we don't have the name of, like this bunny character and this endoskeleton with text saying renovated, rebuilt, and reprogrammed. But in the middle of the trailer, it's interrupted by this. And it ends with it saying that it's releasing in December of 2016. It's off-putting to say at the least, with this trailer seeming like it's just another FNAF fan game, and it wouldn't be too different from the many FNAF fan games that came out back then, and even looks similar stylistically. But this appearance of this face behind a tree, it tells us something is hiding in this game, and gives us a reason why it might have disappeared. The video would be followed up by a second upload titled Five Nights at Crocky's All Teasers and Characters Reupload. They say in the description this: Reupload from a channel that went by the name Purple Freddy Gamer 87. The video in question being a compilation of teasers and images that were on the game page, before it's taken down by Game Jolt moderators. When searching up Purple Freddy Gamer 87, nothing comes up, so obviously the channel is gone, but in the video we are shown multiple images. We get a look at the office space that you play from in the game, showing a long hallway and a desk with some drawings of different Crocky characters. And we are shown some models of the characters and their names, like Cherry the Rabbit. Some more images of Crocky with the text covering the animatronics saying Pingus Lord Films. We are also shown Golden Freddy, and a withered puppet, and something else. It stays on this image for a long time, but at the end of the video it says, "Where am I?" And that's where it ends. And to say that this is unnerving would be an understatement. It feels like these off-putting videos and images were put into the teasers of Crocky's to show that there was something more sinister going on with this game, and that whatever it was caused it to be deleted with only 2 weeks of its original release. But sadly, it's been 3 years since these videos were uploaded and we haven't had an update on this game. But hopefully we'll see more in the future to know what was going on with Crocky's. A channel titled FSWPLostMedia would start uploading videos recently showing lost media of another FNAF fan game that has been lost to time. The channel's description saying, "Channel dedicated to re-uploading lost media / content from the FNAF fan game 5 Shifts with PD." The first video we see being titled 5 Shifts with PD Teaser Trailer Reupload. The description saying this was found via the Wayback Machine and the audio is corrupted during the download process. And if anyone has the full teaser with audio, feel free to let them know in the comments and they'll reach out. The trailer again has no audio, but it starts by saying, "During the day, they bring delight. showing us two of the animatronics being this white bear character and this chicken character with an ice cream cone. It says, "Just don't enter the place at night." Then showing us this walrus animatronic as he looks like he is kind of broken and moving in odd ways. It continues saying, "That's when they come to bite." Showing us the bear character turning at us, and then the title of the game, and that it was coming soon. So nothing too off-putting about this game other than it being lost media. But something is off with how crisp these animatronics are, I mean, at least some of them. The next video is titled 5 Shifts with PD 1, All Findings So Far. In the description saying, "Here's a compilation of all the finds relating to FSWP1 that we've been able to find so far. We will keep you updated if we find more." They tell us that they have the first teaser trailer without audio and a couple of images. The first one being a crop screenshot of PD in the hallway, the menu and the title screen, a work in progress screenshot of Pauline and Scoops, and a Wilson jump scare. And that's all they could find at the moment. These are the first two videos uploaded to the channel, and I'm sure there's more to come and uncover about this game. Right now it seems pretty innocent and not covering up anything dark, but I don't know, with all these games that disappear, it always feels like there's something more. A video would be uploaded 4 months ago on the channel Anxious Alex 2004, titled Weird Five Nights at Freddy's Treasure Island Game. And I have covered a strange FNAF fan game before, and this one is on par with how odd it is, and if not, even more. The video starts off showing us the home screen with the title 5 Nights at Treasure Island, The Hell of Disney. And on the home screen, this awful looking version of photo negative Mickey. His eyes popping out of his head practically, and this evil grin on his face. They start the game and are told, "You are Jake Smith. You were given the electric chair due to your crimes at Treasure Island 10 years ago. Once your vision fades to black, you wake up in a weird building. You are confused, but you won't be soon. Your victims want revenge and will do anything to tear you limb from limb. Your punishment begins now." The game starts, and they are shown to have two options for a camera and a taser, with 3 doors in front of them. They start checking the cameras immediately, and soon enough start seeing and hearing weird things. Time and the animatronics are moving quickly and showing up in the office multiple times, and even something that doesn't even fit in with the rest of the game. It ends up by saying, "You have been afflicted. Your files have been encrypted. To get them back, please send $1,000 in Bitcoin to the Bitcoin wallet that can be accessed via a TXT file on your desktop. You have 10 hours to spend money or your files will be spread and leaked. Time starts now." This fan game being one of the many ransomware games that we have seen before surrounding FNAF, and this one is simply about Five Nights at Treasure Island. And what's crazy is the creepiest thing in this video isn't even Mickey or the other characters, but the random man that shows up and starts flying through the place, feeling completely out of place in this game and showing up for no reason other than to break the game, and there's no way to avoid him. I'm not gonna lie, this is why you don't download random FNAF or FNAF games on the internet, or you could either get a virus or evil demonic possession. The last one I wanted to show all of you is from a channel titled A Skooky, in which they show a strange lost FNAF game. Uploading 2 videos on the channel so far, with the first one titled Weird Lost FNAF Footage, some sort of AA reboot from 2016, ? In the description saying, "If anyone remembers this, please comment. During development for FNAF 3's development, it was cancelled in favor of a free roam reboot of the franchise, which was also cancelled in late 2017 due to Dude not communicating properly to the team overseas. Marble Dolphins Production. I think that was the team's name, but which resulted in all teasers and trailers quickly being taken down as the franchise faded into obscurity. So these videos are already telling us this alternate story from what we know about the FNAF games, with FNAF 3 being like all the other FNAF games, and that the franchise hasn't faded into obscurity and is still going to this day. The footage they show has someone looking around an abandoned facility holding a flashlight, and just exploring this place. In the corner of the screen having a Five Nights at Freddy's logo. As they explore this facility, they see something at the last second. This apparently lost game showing that it would feature a character exploring an abandoned animatronic facility while something seems to be following them through it. Not really feeling like the free roam FNAF games we have today. The second upload on the channel is titled Weird Lost Media FNAF 2016 Intro. In the description saying, "More footage. I apologize for the lower quality, can't do much about it. I forgot how crusty it was in 2016, but it seems to be an intro to the game. The protagonist waking up to some sort of factory. A lot of stuff here seems to be incredibly early, which makes sense. I'm sure there's more to find that shows what a final product could have looked like." The video starts off with them exploring the outside of the building as we see a bright red sky. Everything about this place feeling completely run down and dilapidated, and also I'll say that this game looks like the engine the game is running on is the source engine. They keep looking around the building and find a bunch of bunny costumes in a hole, which I'm pretty sure are the ones from Silent Hill, but anyway. They keep making their way around and come upon more and more bunny costumes lying around as well as FNAF plushes, but end up walking towards a staircase they can't go up and walk towards a wall and end the footage there. While definitely weird, I am excited to see what else goes on with this series, especially because it's made in the source engine. And it has this off vibe to it that isn't really leaning on jump scares, but everything feels a bit uncanny. But today, I found something a little different. A channel that would start uploading 8 months ago showcasing a FNAF game. Nothing too surprising, except what they discover is darker and more real than they could have imagined. The channel is titled Robotic Taco Reuploads. Its profile looks as innocent as can be, with a thank you image from Scott Cawthon's website being their channel banner and a derp face as their profile picture. The description of this channel tells us that it's run by someone named Liam, and they are focused on re-uploading videos surrounding this specific weird FNAF game, and if anyone has any videos or info about it, to send it their way, with an email attached. So I thought we would dive into what this channel has to offer and find out what's going on with this weird Five Nights at Freddy's game. The first video on the channel is titled Robotic Taco Video 1, no real title found. The description telling us this. Liam here. While looking through the Google Drive, I found this video named Robotic Taco Video 1, which is where the name of this channel came from. The video starts off with an old Windows Movie Maker slideshow, asking us if we have seen this cursed FNAF game, or the evil cursed Freddy. I'm here to show you all the pictures, screenshots, and videos I found. showing us these very low quality images of what look like Funtime Freddy on a character select screen, as well as him standing at the end of a hallway. All this while the song Dreamscape plays in the background. The music abruptly stopping when we see this image. Freddy staring and looking like he is screaming as he seems to be banging on something, and if not, then running towards the camera, before showing us some clips of this Funtime Freddy and him hiding around corners and doing a full 180 with his head. They then tell us that they are looking for more footage, and that if anyone has a download for the game, that would be awesome, as they have tried reaching out to the person who posted these, but they haven't responded. And it ends. Nothing too much to go off in this video, other than we were watching the original videos by Robotic Taco, and how he goes about finding more information about this strange FNAF game. And someone named Liam is re-uploading the videos to this channel. In the videos detailing a apparently cursed version of FNAF. Seeming like one of those videos that people would upload to troll people online or make kids scared of a cursed version of Five Nights at Freddy's. But moving forward, Liam would upload another video titled Weird Sister Location Gameplay, with this video telling us that they found gameplay footage of this game as well as some pictures and other things, with immediately the beginning of the game showing us the title being Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location. Obviously not looking as it should, with a button to start saying playtime. They get started with the game, with it immediately obvious that this game feels and looks very unfinished, but are given controls for closing the door, looking around, hiding, and the camera. Simple enough. They get a feel for the controls and try out the different functions of the game. They flip the camera and see Funtime Freddy at the end of the hallway, before instructions pop up. Survive your night, watch him, close door on him, or hide away. Don't let him find you. They begin to play the game as normal, with Funtime Freddy starting to move around the facility, before we see this. Funtime Freddy disappears as the player looks around for him, before finally getting his eyes on him again. The fact that this Freddy was even this close to the player is terrifying, how he just stands there and is breathing heavily, with hiding under the desk being the way to make him go away. The player continues on before the lights go out in the facility. Now they are equipped with a flashlight, finding Funtime Freddy on the camera with his eyes now missing, and he's laughing. Him appearing again in different cameras, standing in the dark, and you can hear his breathing. But when staring at him too long, it seems, and flashing your light, it causes him to freak out and attack the camera, as if he doesn't like the light. But eventually the player can only hide from him for so long before it suddenly gets his hands on him. This is where the gameplay ends and Robotic Taco shows us different pictures from the game, before going over a theory. First discussing the name of this Freddy, and how in the extra screen we see the name is Ursi Camafex, which is Latin translating to Bear Butcher, but also how they note specifically that this extras menu looks like it's from FNAF 4 or 3, indicating to us that Robotic Taco made these videos before Sister Location even came out, putting us sometime around 2016. To end off this video, they would show us an image of what they believe is Ursi without their mask on, but it's hard to make out, and would tell us they haven't found a version that they can actually play yet, but they will keep looking. The next video upload is just a short 4-second video titled Resettlement, with the text in the video saying help, where am I, and I want to go home. Which, if I were to take a guess, that this is either some type of teaser for the game, or this is something darker that could be possibly haunting the game and this Ursi character. With the title being Resettlement, being defined as the act of helping someone move to another place to live, which I feel that ties into what is the soul of a person being moved into somewhere else. But that's just speculation for now. The next video is titled Weird Sister Location Gameplay Part 2, in which Robotic Taco tells us they found more gameplay of this FNAF game uploaded by the same person and that they seem to have beaten the night, with us seeing the start of this gameplay in the latter half of the night, with everything ramping up pretty quickly. Text begins to appear asking the player, "Are you having fun? You can do it. You are so close to winning. Do not fail me." You continue playing, waiting to see the end. You will be rewarded. You have so much potential. Along with this, we see multiple times something completely red peeking from around the corner in the cameras, looking like a fleshy and human-like figure. What is most likely the face underneath this Ursi animatronic. The night continues as text keeps popping up saying, "Almost finished." As we see one last time the Ursi animatronic slam on the door over and over as the lights begin to flicker on and off, before... You survived the night. Good for you. Extras unlocked on menu. They explore the extras menu where they have two options. First is the characters menu, with the only available character at the moment being Ursi. And then the second option is titled Your Prize, and they click on it. The person Robotic Taco found clips from was someone named Daniel, with it seeming like this Ursi character did something to them, seeming like they were pulled into the game as they let out screams of pain, with it looking like this red, fleshy tube on screen, almost like some type of gateway or portal. It has symbols appear over and over again, and when trying to find out what these symbols are from, I truly did struggle to see if this related to any type of cipher, but everything fell short. So if anyone knows what type of symbols these are, please let me know in the comments below. But Robotic Taco would end this video with them telling us they haven't seen any uploads since this video, but they will still be on the lookout. Robotic Taco would upload just a month later with a video titled Weird Sister Location Gameplay Part 3. They would tell us that they found more gameplay and are getting creeped out by this whole thing. And the video they found is weird to say at the least. And we begin to show us gameplay, but we can assume who we were watching is not from Daniel and someone new, with this person starting the game and immediately being different than everything else we have seen before, with a 2D sprite of the Ursi animatronic showing up on screen falling from the ceiling, saying, "Hello there, friend. I'm so happy you want to play with me. I would love to play with you. I love playing with new friends. Unfortunately, my game isn't quite ready to play yet." The screen beginning to glitch out as we see their fleshy face. They continue. "The fox is helping me get everything all nice and ready for you. Don't look so sad, friend. I don't want to disappoint you." Telling us about a little sneak peek at the game we are going to play. And they will show us if we promise to keep it between the two of them, before glitching out again. He then shows us an animation with the song Awoken by Wooden Toaster in the background, flashing all these types of animations and even those where Ursi attacks themselves, self-mutilating, before it glitches and we see this. Are you excited to play? Vulpus is helping me get ready for you. I'm so sorry everything is so messy at the moment. I spread myself a bit thin preparing everything. Vulpus is helping me make everything even better. He's very creative, you know. But look at me go on and on. I don't get to talk very often. I'm just so excited for you to play my game. I know you've been watching. You know, the video? I've been watching too, from the other side. And you have caught my eye, my dear. We're gonna have so much fun together. It is obvious that this Vulpus is Daniel, now aware of what he is in. Brutally attacked by Ursi, and Ursi is also aware of all the videos, even aware of Robotic Taco watching them, it seems. The cartoon version of Ursi comes on screen again, telling us that the fox is misbehaving in front of our guest, and they will make sure we get him in order to play the game. And that they have kept us for long enough, and have to get the game prepared and ready after all. Until next time, friend. The video of the gameplay ends, and we are presented again with Robotic Taco talking to us, telling us that there's something they would like to cover. At one point, we see Ursi take off his mask in one of the videos, and also notices that he seems to hate light. He also talks about the text that was popping up last time, saying, "You will be rewarded and you have so much potential." Thinking that Ursi is talking to the player because mostly there really isn't anyone they could be talking to, and says it seems that he really wants to beat the knight to win a prize. He also notes stuff about how Daniel seemed to be in the game, which he thought might be the case already. But then Robotic Taco shows us something, but for some reason it's blacked out, as well as the text on screen. He also notes that when the weird symbols went away, Daniel had woken up before being attacked. He ends off this video with 3 theories. The first being the realistic theory, that it's someone who's trying to promote their fan game. The pros being that people would be interested with the weird videos, and the cons that the uploads are on several random accounts and there's no download link, and not knowing how the videos link to the story of the game. The second theory is the hype theory, that these are being made to hype up the release of FNAF's sister location. The pros being the videos are weird and gets people to talk about FNAF, and the cons are that the videos barely have any views. The videos are not uploaded to Scott Cawthon's account, and the models don't line up with the trailer. And the final theory is the creepy theory. The game is real and cursed, and Ursi is kidnapping people to play his game. The pros being that it lines up with everything we have, and there's no download link because Ursi chooses certain people to play. And the cons are that it's physically impossible, and asking why is Ursi doing this, and Robotic Taco is scared if it's real. They end off everything with them telling us that they are going to slow down investigating, because ever since they watched this new video, they feel like they keep seeing things out of the corner of their eye, and it's really freaking them out. And if I were to guess, that Ursi knows Robotic Taco is watching these videos, and that they are probably next. And then there would be one more video uploaded in the series called Paranoid. Robotic Taco starts off sounding pretty distressed, saying they need help. They wanted to take a break from making these videos, but when they were at their friend's house, weird stuff started to happen, and they don't know if they are seeing things or growing crazy, but to please look and tell them if we can see it too. His friend told me he's seen things, but he used his camera and swears something is happening, showing an image of them looking out the window, but even when brightening up the image, you can't really see anything. He says it's hard to see on the picture, but in real life, he swears that this thing was out there watching while they were playing video games, before showing us the silhouette of something in the darkness, which from looking, it doesn't really have a clear shape. They then tell us that when they woke up, they thought they heard something moving outside the door, showing some shadow behind the crack of the door, which doesn't really look like anything. His friend said it was probably his parents, but Robotic Taco doesn't believe that. They then tell us that that's not all, and they took a video and show us this. showing us the camera when zooming in on something in the dark starting to glitch out. They feel like someone is watching them, and it's after watching that original video. And that they feel that all this is connected because on top of everything, they got a strange email as well from one bear friend. Inside the email being a .wav file. And for some reason they thought it would be a good idea to download it, but here's what it was.
I'm company, so I now settle 80 for you office upon.
They don't understand what the clip is, but from taking the first letter of each word, it says, I can see you. But Robotic Taco thinks that their viewers are messing with them and asks for a name that's blacked out and if they are watching this, and if they could leave a comment or say anything. They need to know if this is happening to anyone else. And at the end of this video, there would be an image that pops up at the very last second with a bunch of jumbled up letters. And we see Ursi looking more evil than ever. But these letters are a cipher, with you going back one letter in the alphabet for each letter. It spells out, someone's paranoid. Liam would upload Daniel's first day /video 1 to the Robotic Taco re-uploads channel. And starting off the bat, we can see Daniel after they were taken into this version of Sister Location after beating the first night from the Gameplay Part 2 video. Ursi saying, hello Daniel, this will only take a moment. It's so nice to finally meet face to face. He drags him into an elevator and tells him to watch his head, but suddenly he looks around as he shushes Daniel. Not because anyone's around, but he says, did you really think you were getting a voice before me? Now do me a favor. He chokes out Daniel before Ursi would have a music video play, similar to how he did before, kind of like he is flexing his power and control over this world. He has a bit of an ego. It's a compilation where we can see him do a bunch of creepy movements and are shown multiple times a fleshy arm come from within Ursi's mouth. Before this. He says, wakey wakey sleepyhead. Now I know we're both excited to get you settled in, but there is just one thing we have to do first. We're going to play a little game. Now how are we going to decide what game? I know. Before the cartoon version of Ursi would show up again, in which they figure out what game they are going to play by spinning a wheel to decide. And it lands on hide and seek. He'll be given a headlamp to help him see, and he has to click the button on the side to turn it off, as well as there being a timer to tell him how long they have to find a hiding spot. Good luck. And they are put into the game. We learn from this that at least Ursi cannot see much and are pretty much stuck when using their hands from their mouth, at least for a couple seconds. But it's not very long and are able to catch up very quickly. But also Ursi, even when the timer goes off, attacks Daniel. They obviously do not care for the rules and essentially make it up on the spot, doing whatever they please. It then cuts to what's happening to Daniel, and we see a pretty grotesque sight. I was wondering when you would wake up. I need to grab a few things. Don't go anywhere now. Suddenly a monitor pops up with an eye in front of Daniel, before locking him even more tightly in the chair. It having the same fleshy tunnel that seems to put Daniel in a trance and makes him pass out. Ursi continues to use this on people to lock them in, but then Daniel wakes up again.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for all the sacrifices you made. Everything you gave me to use. I just hope I didn't take too much. Welcome home. Opus. Hey. Psst. Hey. I know you're still down there, sleepyhead. Wake up. The people are dying to hear from you. Come on. We both know Vulpus isn't aware enough to say anything cohesive. Isn't there anything you want to say to our lovely viewers?
Please stop watching!
And this is when we hear from another person, begging them to please stop watching. And with now Ursi able to fully speak, and you can tell he does not like it when he doesn't get his way, screaming in anger. And from what we can gather, the other person speaking is definitely one of the other animatronics now haunted by another person, most likely Baby or Ballora, and seems to be laying in what looks like to be some sort of pit. And yet again, we come to understand that Ursi has some bigger game he is trying to play, with kidnapping certain victims to torture them in this world he infects. But it does make you wonder if there's more, if he wants something else. On to the next video. A video will be uploaded titled Contained for Now, with a bunch of letters following this in the title. When doing a Caesar shift, it comes out to Contained for Now again. And there's quite a bit in the description, but we will go back to that after the video. The video starts off simply, with static on screen, but then it fades out as we see a USB drive and someone writing something on a piece of paper. It says, "I'm sorry." They place the paper and the USB drive into the box and seal it up, and write something else on the box. "Do not open, ever," before picking it up and leaving with it. As we then follow them outside, they're walking at night and turn on the flashlight. While the video is going on, there are a ton of distortions. They walk down an empty street as they do multiple zoom-ins that makes the video glitch out a lot. Similar to the Paranoid video when Robotic Taco thought someone was out there at night, and when zooming in, they had distortions. We cut to them starting to dig a hole in the ground with Frank Sinatra's "We'll Meet Again" playing in the background. It almost feels like it wasn't Robotic Taco that put the song in this video, but most definitely Ursi, saying that this will not be the last time they see each other. Robotic Taco starts his dig, but as he does, we hear someone scream out multiple times, "Ursi," and I'll play the clips of what he says. There are a couple other lines mixed in with the music that I can't really play due to copyright, but Ursi would start begging saying things like, "Please don't do this. I will starve," and "You'll leave them all to die." And in the many times Ursi flashes on screen, there was one where text briefly shows up. It's a bunch of jumbled up letters. PQFII QOXMMBA. When deciphered, it says, "Still trapped." Showing again how Ursi can't take a loss, and that he can't help but yell out and lash out when things don't go his way. Giving all types of threats, but then resulting to begging because he truly has no filter. And also to note that he says, "You'll leave them all to die," referring to Daniel and the mystery person, but maybe even more people that we have not seen yet. As of now, we truly don't know how many people Ursi has taken, but I also believe that the note that says "I'm sorry" were for the people trapped with Ursi. And if not, then it's for whoever else happens to come across this box, and if they do ignore the warning and look inside. But it cuts again to Robotic Taco flashing light on the place this box was buried. He walks away into the night. The Frank Sinatra song swells again as he points his camera toward the moon. Again, feeling like an insert by Ursi. Then it would cut to Robotic Taco talking to us directly, saying, "I have him contained for now. If you're seeing this, then you understand what I mean. However, if you found this by mistake or just by chance, don't look into it. This video was never meant to be public. If this has been posted, then something is wrong. Just forget you ever saw this video. It's safer that way. No matter what happens, don't go looking for him or them. It's too late for them. I'm sorry." And at the tail end of the video, something would pop up for a brief second, and when brightened up, it's a bunch of letters. I tried my best to decipher what this could be, but I could not find anything, so if anyone has any idea what this could be saying, let me know in the comments. But from this video, another thing stuck out to me. From the first deciphered text being "still trapped," and who exactly said this. Whether it was Ursi or one of the others. If this was Ursi, then maybe they are still buried, and the videos are a way that he has learned to escape in order for someone to find this box and uncover it. And if it was from someone like Daniel or one of the others trapped, then it would have to be that they are saying they are still trapped with Ursi and want to get out. Going to the description of the video, we can see what Liam thinks. He says, "This video seems to contain a person placing a note and a USB into a wooden box before taping it shut and burying it in what looks like the woods, while who I am assuming is Ursi begins to yell at him. I think besides the paranoid video, this has got to be one of the weirdest discoveries yet. I guess I'll throw my own theory out there since this video is so vague, and it's hard to make out what's happening at some points. To me, it looks like someone, possibly the original Robotic Taco, got Ursi contained on a USB and buried him underground to put an end to this game. I have got almost no clue when this video takes place. If this is Robotic Taco, then that would make this video the latest in the timeline so far, since he would need some sort of copy of the game to put it on a USB. That's all for now, I suppose. I'll keep an eye out in case I find any other videos as always. So from this video, we know that this is where it was supposedly supposed to be the end, and the note being that Robotic Taco did get the game and maybe even played it, possibly alluding to the idea that he even got trapped with Ursi and even escaped, or could have just found the copy and buried it immediately, which means we will most likely be seeing more videos showing what happens in between. I believe whatever answer we get, that even with this supposedly being one of the last uploads, that this is far from over if these videos have reached the public eye, and that Ursi has escaped. And as of now, we don't know the fate of Robotic Taco, and if they are still around, or got away from this mess. But we know Ursi would not go away so easily, and would most likely try and get their revenge in one way or another. But for now, that is the latest from the series. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to flash my light. FNAF horror animations are one of my favorite things to consume on YouTube. Whether it's the 3D animations like tunnel vision, which is absolutely horrifying.
Foxy, I want to go home.
Engaging that retrieval.
Or just the various FNAF VHS series out there that give these pretty terrifying stories that are either recreations of the FNAF story or their own original take on the FNAF story that amp up the horror factor by a ton. A lot of these can be considered AUs or alternate universes, which is fair to describe them as, with them differentiating from the FNAF story quite a bit. And today I wanted to share one that I found that is honestly one of the most disturbing and gruesome retellings of the Five Nights at Freddy's story. All of it is done in 2D and with 2D animation. we have a series of tapes created by Happy Tree X1. And while this series doesn't have an official name, we have a series of FNAF VHS tapes that tell a story that is not only disturbing in the way it presents its horror with its body horror, but the way it presents the events of FNAF. Let's go ahead and get into the first set of tapes. I'm simply calling the maintenance tapes. The first episode is titled Human Teeth. The description of the episode gives us the date recorded being August 22nd, 1985, and that Dan Brown was a night guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. While doing his nightly routines, he stumbled upon the remains of a victim stuffed inside of Chica's mouth. Authorities never came. He never had a chance to call. The episode starts with text on screen saying, "I'm here doing my nightly maintenance on the animatronics. I was told by a coworker that Chica is due for a checkup, so I'll get started on that. Let me get the light." Suddenly we see Chica, and immediately our main character Dan is surprised by what he is seeing, with a set of human teeth and jaw are inside the Chica, which just immediately prompts Dan to call William Blurpleman. William answers the phone, and you can tell it's him because of the purple text, by the way. Dan lets William know of the situation by telling him about the human jaw inside of Chica's mouth. William responds by saying, Dan, calm down. Are you feeling alright? There's no way anything like that happens," and proceeds to tell him to take a look at her again, and that he's probably just seeing things. Dan turns the light on again, and still the jaw is inside of Chica's mouth. But something is different with Chica, now looking right at Dan. Dan is obviously freaked out and says he is not taking blame for this. But then William responds with, "Dan, it's a pity you came to work and had to see this." He laughs and tells him he won't be leaving and that they know he is here. The lights go out and William says, "Good luck," and he hangs up on Dan. And we see this. So from the description and what we just saw in the video, Dan did not make it out of there, with him most likely either just simply killed or stuffed in the animatronic suit, and at the end you can of course see the classic "It's me" at the bottom of the screen. I think what makes this video especially scary is how quiet it is, with no voice actors in the video and what we just see pop up on screen. It's honestly horrifying to think what might have also happened to Dan. The next video is titled Together as One, with the date being October 9th, 1985. It's almost a month and a half after the last incident. We now see a new employee named Jeff Burke. He starts off by letting us know the date, and that the boss wants everything documented on film, as per usual. Which makes you think that William either gets some sick pleasure from having these filmed deaths, or he just wants to observe the interactions of people with the possessed animatronics. But continuing on, Jeff has to perform audio tests on Freddy. He goes to turn on the lights to begin the testing. The light comes on and we see Freddy. Jeff states that he's heard there are a lot of problems with the head and face and decides to start with that. The first audio test plays and this happens. Jeff stops the sound and is weirded out that Freddy's eyes are doing that and that it isn't supposed to happen. He starts the test again when suddenly all the lights in the facility go out. He goes to hit the breaker and... So again, we have a tape that features the animatronic seeming to attack a worker at night, which you can see again the mouth of the person inside the animatronic for a bit. But how Freddy ended up getting blood on him is unknown, but it could have just been him spitting out blood. But the laugh he gave and the eyes of Freddy were just honestly terrifying. And it still makes you wonder why William wanted all of this recorded. To me, it seems like he gets some sick enjoyment out of it. The next tape is called Hidden and takes place on September 15th, 1985. So going back a few weeks from the last tape, but still after the first tape. This time we have yet another different employee, Jordan Hill. And instead of having us at the beginning of tests, in this video he just finished all of the tests on Foxy, in which he failed all of them, and that he will let the boss know to get him working tomorrow. But it's about time he heads home. The lights go out, and we can see Foxy sitting there in the dark with the camera left on. We cut to close-up of Foxy, and his pupil is smaller. He begins to speak and says, "They can't fix me. Nobody knows where I went. I've been hidden too well. There is, however, someone," with the text "someone" being purple. And then this. In a horrifying depiction of Foxy where the animatronic is almost completely destroyed, you can pretty much see the thoughts and anger of this possessed Foxy manifested right in front of us. But suddenly, he returns to normal and continues on saying, "I will never know the satisfaction of death." With that being the end of this tape. The last maintenance tape is called Found, with the date being November 5th, 1985, so a couple months after all the previous tapes. This time we follow Mark Hall as he tries to fix Bonnie, in which he is not responding to movement cues and that he thinks that rust has damaged the internals. And he says he will take the fabric from the exoskeleton, but as he states this, a call comes in. It's William. William calls him frustrated, telling him that he's not scheduled to be there, but Mark says he was. William checks, but finds out he was indeed scheduled, and that it was a mistake and orders Mark to leave now. But as he says this, we can see Bonnie's eyes shift toward Mark. Mark snaps back, not noticing Bonnie looking at him, and says that he can't talk to him like that, even though he's his boss. And that he will finish what he's doing and then he will leave. William yells at him to listen, but then Mark hangs up on him. He immediately thinks that William is drunk again. He turns on the lights and immediately notices that Bonnie's eyes had moved. He says he has to start removing the fabric from the back of the head. Everything goes dark, but Mark says, "Is that blood?" It cuts and we see blood on the back of Bonnie. He thinks someone might have injured themselves working on Bonnie, but then suddenly Bonnie speaks and says, "Hello?" This obviously freaking Mark out. He doesn't even realize that Bonnie's the one speaking to him. We cut back to Bonnie's face now, staring right at Mark with his mouth open. Bonnie telling him, "I'm still here." Mark thinks that he is hearing things and should just go home, but Bonnie says, "Please don't leave just yet. Dad." Mark pauses before asking, "Jeremy, is that you?" Bonnie says yes, where we learn inside the suit of Bonnie is a son of Mark. And apparently he had died a few months prior, but Bonnie says, "I was taken," and that he just wants to go home. Mark asks what happened and who did this. Bonnie says because of him, with him being in purple text, and says, "Your boss. Your boss caved my skull in." This makes Mark get rightfully angry and says that he will kill William. But in response, Bonnie says, "You can't, Dad. He always comes back." Ooh, reference. He asks what can he do? And Bonnie tells him to leave and that William knows you're here and he is a dangerous man and Mark will not win. And that he did his best to protect him and that it's time he returned the favor. "I'm so happy I got to see you one last time." Mark begins to cry and says, "I don't want to leave you here." Bonnie says he's begging him and get out while you still can. Mark tells him he loves him and they hug. And Bonnie/Jeremy says, "I love you too, Dad. Maybe when this is all over, we'll see each other in heaven." Mark says, "I love that, Jeremy. I promise I will come back." It cuts and he says, "Goodbye, Dad." The lights go out when suddenly we see William speaking. He says, "Oh, Mark, so now you know? Who cares? It won't change anything. and begins to laugh hysterically. I hope your little family reunion was worth it, because it just cost your life. Gonna report me to the police, Mark? It won't change a thing. Now take a look at your precious little boy. And we see the mutilated face of Jeremy underneath the Bonnie mask. It's horrifying to look at, with this episode ending with William saying he would happily do it again. Start running. This episode is not only heart-wrenching, but really puts into perspective the lengths that William will go to keep his secrets safe, and that he truly seems like an unstoppable force. He truly is a horrifying monster that gets satisfaction from hurting these children. We now leave the maintenance tapes to go into the next set of tapes. These are a retelling of the FNAF 4 story, and it really puts into perspective how horrifying the events of that game were. The first tape is called Brain Damage. It starts off with our typical FNAF training tape intro, giving us an important announcement about the Fredbear endoskeleton, in which in the past few weeks there have been problems with the Fredbear's jaw, not moving as well as it should, and some fixes required to get it working. It warns us that fixing the skeleton of the animatronic and putting body parts near it could lead to death or injury, but suddenly the face of the animatronic changes to this. The tape transitions abruptly before we are shown the door. It swings open and we see this. This tape obviously alluding again to FNAF 4 and the bite of Fredbear's family diner, with us immediately then shown a Fredbear plush. It talks to Evan, our main character for this tape, and says, "Michael's scaring you again, huh?" Evan responds, "Yeah, he's such a jerk." Fredbear says he will keep him company and not to worry, and that he needs to get some sleep, and that they have a big day tomorrow. We are then shown the party in which we are at Fredbear's family diner, with Fredbear and Spring Bonnie or Golden Bonnie on stage. William says that he's been looking for Evan and can't find him, and it is assumed that he's probably hiding. William tells Michael to look for him and not to torment him today because he doesn't want him to ruin his birthday. We find Evan underneath the table, saying that Michael can't even be nice to him on his own birthday. Fredbear tells him to just write it out and stay there until Dad or William comes back with the cake. But then suddenly Michael finds Evan, and it's not good. Michael gets him out, and all of his friends are wearing these horrifying masks of the animatronics, before dragging him to the Fredbear animatronic and putting him right up to his face. Before... Evan dies, and following this we see a conversation between Evan and William, as William asks him, "How do you feel that you just killed your own brother?" He's done, and that Michael is not worth caring about. He hates Michael. Michael says that he's sorry for everything to Evan, even though he can't hear him, or at least he thinks, and that he will put his plushie next to him to keep him company always. Following this we cut again, and Fredbear tells Evan that his brother hurt him, and that he will put them back together, before we see the Fredbear animatronic's eyes glow. And while this tape was mainly just a retelling of the FNAF 4 bite incident, I think it was well done and shown in a way that was pretty horrifying, while also giving us some more information about the conversations that were had between everyone. But this tape was only just a prelude to what is to come, because in the next tape, Aftermath, we see how William descends into madness from this event, and it's ugly. We get a glimpse inside the Afton household, as William talks to himself about the horrifying event that only happened a week prior. He mourns and yet feels so angry. He also says it was not his fault, He sits down to relax before 30 minutes go by. He's downed a lot of whiskey, and we can see the cigarettes on the windowsill as he screams out Michael's name. He yells that it was his fault for all of this over and over again, before he's interrupted by Michael calling out for his dad. We see Michael's shadow at the doorway, as William holds a cigarette in his hand. He says he is sorry again for Evan, and William says that he's, well, stupid, and that his apology doesn't mean anything, and if he has any idea how broken he is because of him. Michael snaps back and says not to act like you're the only one affected, and that he didn't want to hurt him, and that he still loved him, and that part of this was William's fault. This angering William even more, and Michael continuing saying that Fredbear was not safe. Suddenly, William goes silent, and his eyes are shown not on screen as he speaks in his head, saying that Michael is a coward, and he has no blame. Before then snapping back and telling Michael to get out of his sight. It cuts to Michael's room where he is sleeping, and Michael talking to himself, saying that his dad is a joke and it should take responsibility too, before trying to go to sleep, before suddenly... The next tape is called First Victim, and is by far one of the most horrifying tapes in the whole collection. This tape takes place on August 22nd, 1985, as we see someone pull up in the car to the employee entrance of a building. They go down the hallway of the pizzeria, where we're then shown the animatronics on stage. Then suddenly they arrive at a hallway where we see a girl playing on an arcade machine at the end of the room near Pirate Cove, where it turns out we are following William, where he says, "She's perfect." William then puts on a Spring Bonnie suit, but when he does and gets closer to the girl, we find out she is crying. She is sad because her dog is dead. He says, "Nonsense. I just saw your dog out back," before asking her name. Her name is Susie. He says that her puppy is with them and to follow him, before leading her to a very suspicious employees only door. We can hear her laughter, but when she enters, it stops, and we see this horrifying event. After this horrific incident, we are then shown the marionette as he sits in a white void. He waits for Susie, telling her she is home now, but can't go back because that man is still out there. Where we then see this. The final tape I wanted to talk about is Golden Days, which is honestly equally as disturbing as the last tape with how it depicts Afton's actions. We are shown the inside of the pizzeria as we go down the place at night, before landing on the employees only door we saw before. Inside on the ground is Golden Freddy, speaking, saying he remembers how things used to be, what he was designed to do, when things were good, before being taken back to 1983, where we witness Fredbear and Spring Bonnie as they play and sing on stage, ironically singing I Don't Love You by My Chemical Romance, but distorted. But in this reminiscing of good old times, Golden Freddy says that all these things must come to an end, and something happened that day. He hurt someone, but there was an external factor, where we see Michael wearing his mask, staring with dark eyes and laughing. And then this. Where suddenly after this, he says he felt a presence inside of him. It was Evan. They were bound together. He sits back in the present as he talks to Evan. Evan asking if he will see Michael again, with him not knowing if he will. And we can see Evan standing next to Fredbear as he cries, as a spirit. He says if not today, maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day, my child. While these tapes don't have that much to speculate on, I think it does a great job displaying these horrific events in the FNAF universe in a new manner, with its amazing 2D style and 2D art, and showing us to the viewer first-hand experiences of the horrors in the Five Nights at Freddy's world. While some of it may not be canon, it's still done excellently, and I'm definitely going to recommend you go check out Happy Tree X1 and his channel for more stuff like this. FSWPLostMedia, a channel that was created that focused on recovering and showing off a FNAF fan game that had been lost to time titled 5 Shifts with Petey. And I only skimmed the surface, with this series hiding way more, and something sinister going on with this supposedly lost FNAF fan game. So let's take a look. In my last video, I only talked about the first 2 videos that came out on this channel, but I will go over them again briefly for this video. The first video uploaded to this channel is called 5 Shifts with Petey Teaser Trailer Re-Upload, in which we see the trailer presented to us with different shots of the multiple animatronics in this fan game, with there being a walrus, a penguin, and a polar bear. According to the description of the video, this coming out around mid-2015. The video they grabbed has corrupted audio, so there isn't sound, and they found this via the Wayback Machine. The second video uploaded to the channel is titled 5 Shifts with Petey 1, All Findings So Far, in which they show off everything that was discovered in a compilation about this game, showing us again the teaser without audio, as well as multiple screenshots from the game, like Petey in the hallway, the menu screen, a work in progress screenshot of Pauline and Scoops, and there's a video of Wilson's jump scare. So the main things that were found were these little tidbits of footage and screenshots from this game, and not really any gameplay. With this game seeming like it fits in with a lot of FNAF fan games from 2015, it doesn't really seem too out of place. But why this game disappeared is the real mystery, and what exactly is in the actual game. But then, a new video would be uploaded titled 5 Shifts with Petey Gameplay Footage Found. The description telling us that they are sorry that the video turned out looking bad and wanted to get it out as soon as possible, and after contacting one of the game developers, we finally have our first gameplay footage of the first game, though it is a work in progress version of the game with only one door functional. The video starts by the owner of the channel saying, "Hey guys, Trevor here, one of the owners of the channel." They recently managed to contact one of the original developers for the game, and asked if they still had anything of the game on their computer, showing an email explaining to someone named Grant that they are on the hunt for lost media of the game, and wonder if they still have anything. With Grant responding saying they did work on the game years ago. They did some digging on an old laptop and managed to find some old dev footage of an early prototype of the game. The quality is bad and they apologize for that, attaching the footage of the game. And from here, we get to see the gameplay. We get to see the home screen with multiple of the characters flickering on the home menu, and they start a new game and we see a "We're Hiring" ad, with 2 images of Wilson and Petey. But the text is impossible to read on the newspaper due to the quality of the footage. And from there, the game starts, where we see 2 doors with the option to press the lights and shut the doors. They test around with the left door and its light over and over and look around the room. And that's all we could really see from the gameplay. Again, being an early prototype that doesn't even come close to being finished. But it is cool that we get to see the gameplay of the game already. The following video to release would be called 5 Shifts with PD, Character Renders Found. In the description, Trevor telling us that they got some more content from the game from Grant, with character renders from the game's extra menu. In the video, we get to see them, with an image of PD, the polar bear waving, Pauline the penguin and Scoops, Wilson the walrus, and a new character that we had not seen before named Husk, seeming similar to that of Golden Freddy from the original FNAF games, with it resembling PD but all gray and having no eyes. And there's also rendered with the main gang standing all together. But in this video at one point, for a frame or two, there's a link hidden in the video to some YouTube short, it seems. While I did try and figure out what the link was, it seems to be too blurry to uncover and see anything within it, unfortunately. But if someone who has better eyesight than me figures out what it is, please drop the link in the comments. Trevor would acknowledge this link after someone had commented on the video about it on their post tab, saying, "We've been made aware of some kind of link hidden for a few frames in this video. I talked to Alex about it and asked if he put it there as some kind of prank, but he denies having done it. I would advise you not to look into it. We don't know what it leads to, but just in case, I wouldn't recommend looking into it. If you do, just don't say I didn't warn you prior." Which makes this whole thing feel a bit more uncomfortable, with both creators of the channel being unsure of how a link to an unknown YouTube short would appear in their video, and if it might have something to do with this Grant person, and maybe it's from them. The next video on the channel would be titled 5 Shifts with PD 2, Behind the Scenes Images Possibly Found. This video is starting off with not Trevor, but Alex, the other channel owner, saying hi to us. They say that they're making this video because Trevor is a little on edge at the moment because of the whole hidden URL thing. That was in the last video, as well as something that happened recently, which they will be talking about today. They go on to talk about some recent findings, with Trevor recently receiving an email on his personal account, not the one for FSWPLostMedia, which makes it confusing on how someone would obtain that. But the email would be from an unknown user whose email they will not be sharing. But attached to the email was something odd, showing us behind the scenes photos, not from the original 5 Shifts with PDs, but the cancelled sequel, 5 Shifts with PDs Sub-Zero, with us getting a look at a model of PD, but without an iris, and seeming to be smiling at us. Another one of PD seeming to be at a door with their eyes glowing. Alex continuing, saying, "We have no idea where these images came from. Very little was ever shown of SWP Sub-Zero. So the fact that this anonymous person even had the images at all, let alone behind the scenes ones, was odd." That alongside the fact that they somehow found Trevor's personal email, which has never been mentioned on the channel before. Because of this, Trevor has been reasonably a little shaken up by the whole ordeal, and asked Alex to take over for a bit and be the one in charge of making and uploading content. They continue by saying sorry, there isn't much to talk about this time around, and just wanted to share this odd incident. They can't verify if the images are real at the moment, but they seem to be pretty authentic. But until proven otherwise, they are going to assume it's real. They say to not expect another upload for a while due to hitting a dead end, but will hopefully be back in a week with something to share. And from here, this is where everything about this series starts to get a bit strange. With at some point after uploading the last video, the FSWPLostMedia channel would go live. The live stream apparently being pretty short and had ended pretty soon after starting. Alex would make a community post saying, "Bit shaken up by the stream, I'm going to bed. I'll make the stream public again tomorrow, maybe," from Alex. Which from this post, it raises a lot of red flags. What did they stream and what shook them up that bad? They would re-upload the stream with the title, "Important Stream Re-Upload." It's starting with us seeing Alex's desktop and notepad open, also having a folder on the desktop called FSWP2 Download. They would start by typing in the notepad saying they have tried this 3 times and making sure the live is working. They wait for people to join and start explaining what's going on, with Trevor receiving another email from the anonymous individual, and they claim it's a download for an old build of the sequel to FSWP. They don't know how authentic it is and haven't opened it before, but they hope it's real and will talk about it in a future video. Or it's just a virus. But they decide to stream their experience with playing it for the first time. They start to open the folders and find that it was made in Unreal Engine, unlike many other FNAF games from back then that were made in ClickTeam. But Alex decided it's finally time to open the game. Inside the game, they would find that it's a free roam game, at least an early build of one, with them seeing a logo for the building being Sub-Zero Entertainment and Storage. They would also find a model of Petey just kind of floating there with a cup in their hands. Along with some figures on a shelf, they continue to walk around and find shelves tipped over and just exploring the area in general. With Alex pausing to tell us that this is pretty weird so far and it's kind of sketchy, but seems authentic. They would find another model, this time upside down, coming from the ceiling, seeming to be Wilson. And next to that, 2 chess pawns. And the text, "My pawns," with a smiley face. More text next to that saying, "What a wonderful world I've made. Do you like it?" Alex pausing again to say, "Like is a strong word, but I guess." But next to that, a lot more text saying the sentence, "I know what you did," over and over again. And this. And they end the stream there. Obviously creeped out by what they found, with this anonymous wording calling out what seems like Alex or Trevor, and there being an obvious connection with there being 2 pawns which seem to represent the 2 of them, and this distorted character at the end of the hallway. But we don't know who this anonymous person is that sent all this, and why they are doing this, and what plans do they have for Trevor and Alex if they are the pawns for what they have planned. Whether it's the original creator of the games or someone else, we'll have to see. Alex would let us know that they are thankful for 111 subscribers and that they will come back soon, but are feeling uneasy after the stream, and have decided to take a step back from the whole thing, but will be back eventually. But this is not where it ends yet. The channel would post a community post again, a couple days after that last post, linking a YouTube video called Conditioning 1. In the community post saying, "Conditioning has begun. Deletion is likely once my pawns return. Come on in. I welcome you to my kingdom with open arms. Even those who aren't worthy, I will make you worthy. Yours sincerely, Rex Tus Dignus." This name, when translated, seems to be from Latin, something along the lines of "your worthy king." This video that was linked was from a channel called Regnum Dignorum, which has 4 videos in total before the conditioning video. Regnum Dignorum translates to roughly kingdom or realm of the worthy. Also in the channel description it has more Latin, roughly saying, "My safe place, my kingdom, my home, enter." The first 3 videos on the channel show some type of symbol with it sitting on the screen and slowly being distorted. The first one is titled Pawn, with a description saying, "All good chessboards require 8 pawns. I require only 2. A proper introduction will come in its own time. In the meantime, just sit and watch." The next video, titled Gift, shows a distorted gift. In the description it says, "Do you like my gift?" And the third video is a little bit different, with it titled Failure. The description is saying, "You can run from your demons until you're exhausted. Once you'll have to stop and find out what they wanted. Keep on running from those demons until you are exhausted." Did I just read the gosh dang excuse me sir lyrics? Okay, whatever, moving on. The video starts with the text, "They hate my gift. I worked so hard on it. After everything he did, he treats me like shit. Oh well." So this person has something new set up for the 2 people we've been following, being Trevor and Alex. obviously upset by the reaction to everything that they received so far and being creeped out by it. But to the video that was uploaded last, Conditioning 1, the description having more Latin saying, first of many. The video starts with a text saying Conditioning Test Pawn Glutton. This pawn uses the scrap model of Sub-Zero PD as a base vessel. Day 1, Introduction. We watch as we see PD in a containment chamber of some sort, staring into a corner. It continues saying, Pawn Glutton examines his newfound mortality before he hears a noise emit from the speaker located in his enclosure. Then, Pawn Glutton stares into the enclosure's camera before giving a wave. We skip to day 7, Isolation. Pawn Glutton slams his forehead into the enclosure's walls, an effect caused by his 6 days of isolation. Day 14, Starvation. Pawn Glutton bangs on the walls of his enclosure in a fit of rage caused by his 7 days without food. Though my methods may appear cruel, these steps are crucial to ensuring the best outcome possible for my pawns. I had 2 pawns before. They failed me, but I'm sure you know that already. These ones are better, ready to obey their king. On day 26, Pawn Glutton becomes unresponsive. Not dead, just unresponsive. Day 30, Release. Enclosure 1A is opened. Testing for Glutton can now begin. By the end of the testing, Glutton will have an insatiable appetite. It will devour any living thing it can get a hold of, just as intended. Next up, Condition Test Pawn, Anguish. And that is where we are now at this point in the series, with it seeming to be that this person who refers to themselves as the King has gotten access to the FSWPLostMedia channel and posted on it, most likely getting access through them downloading the game that was sent to them by this anonymous person. And this person was setting up Trevor and Alex to be their pawns, to turn them into what has become of this person who now resides inside of the PD animatronic in the game, seeming to be set up to be starving and eat whoever they come across. But why? Why make them so hungry and want to eat anyone it comes across? And who exactly was kidnapped for this process to happen, because we don't know anyone else who was looking into the 5 shifts of PD's game. And of course there's the person who originally made the games. If this is them or some outside force, we don't know as of now. We'll just have to wait till Alex and Trevor return, and maybe they could ask Grant who this is, since they're the only person who really is connected to the series, having worked on it. The post that featured the King character on the channel has disappeared, and Alex has made a post saying that they are back, and have had some time to think, and within the next few days are going to slowly return to the whole thing. Saying they hope you all are doing okay. Sorry for the radio silence, me and Trevor have been busy with some stuff, but we're hoping to come back soon. Okay, this is truly one of those does he know, he doesn't know moments. FNAF World is a bright and whimsical game that many people back in the day did not expect to release back in 2016, with it being the polar opposite of the game we got before, being Five Nights at Freddy's 4, and what was assumed to be the end of the series, until we got Sister Location like 9 months later, and it goes on and on and on. But FNAF World was a shock, with the release of the game being divisive to say at the least, with its cutesy art style and simplified RPG mechanics. Many people could just not get behind it until people started looking into the game's secrets, as well as the many ways to speedrun the game, and do things such as run nuzlocks of it. But behind FNAF World, there is a disturbing side that no one seems to talk about. Like from before the game would actually release, Scott would create 2 teasers for the game that made FNAF World seem like it was something entirely different, with this one image of Mangle hanging from the ceiling, and this Balloon Boy teaser where it says madness takes many forms. Which from these teasers, yeah, the game didn't really go that way, and Scott was trolling, I guess. But what if there were actual horror versions of FNAF World, and the teasers did actually lead to something darker? Well, today I'll be showcasing some of exactly that. The first video that I wanted to show you is titled FNAF World Ransomware by Rafe, who's known for showcasing the horrifying versions of almost every FNAF game that they have made. And this one is no different. The video starts off with us seeing the user's desktop, and FNAF World is right there on there. And of course, they're using Bandicam to give us the highest quality recording. They open the game and we get a warning, except the warning is, this game is fun. Well, I sure hope so. The game's home screen pops up and, okay, yeah, this doesn't look that fun. We can see all the animatronics and they are all heavily distorted and look like they were thrown in a blender. The title is in Russian, but when translated, it roughly says, Petya and Pizza Mania. Petya is a real-life and infamous ransomware that encrypts Windows files. They start the game and are given the option to choose Freddy as a character. The loading screen comes up and we see chicken. Yep, looks like a chicken to me. The bottom says something in Serbian, and when translated it says, this is the best game in the world. The game eventually loads and we see this distorted and deformed Golden Freddy talking to us. They say, hello, welcome to Freddyland. Your mission is to kill your enemies. And it says to always download from a website link to a free FNAF website. Which is funny because FNAF World is already free, but anyways. They say good luck and they get started. They load into the map where we see a bunch of poorly cut out images of animatronics placed without and a lock. They start to move around and it triggers a battle, where they fight one of the normal enemies, except when they fight, we see an image flash on screen multiple times. It's this Freddy standing in the dark. It's ominous. They move around some more before heading towards the BB or DD sprite. And when they interact, we see this. They continue on and go towards Golden Freddy's sprite, where we see a heavily distorted version of Lolbit with Golden Freddy's head in the background floating, which sits there for a while until it suddenly disappears, sending them into a loading screen. With this one showing us Bonnie and they are called Rabbit. At the bottom is more text, which translates to "this is fun," and end up back in the map where they head to the Bonnie sprite, where we see this. They defeat this corrupted version of Bonnie before heading to another sprite. This one is all darkened out. When they interact, it turns out to be Chica, looking unrecognizable from her normal look. They defeat her as well, before being booted back to the map again, except this time they are somewhere different. But the only thing on the map is what looks like an image of the devil right in the middle. They interact and it turns out to be Foxy, and they fight him in this dark void. They keep hitting him with the same moves over and over when suddenly we get this. It's not really clear why they lost, but after getting the game over, they are kicked back to the map and go back to Foxy to fight them again. This time, they actually win and are sent somewhere completely new. So we get a screen that says, Five Nights at Freddy's World, your data belongs to us. Play this, not free. Go to our website and follow the instructions, and they leave a link to the website, and it says to hurry up with a countdown counter. No thanks. So this was obviously another case of another person being duped into downloading some virus version of a FNAF game, which seems to be a very common occurrence with Five Nights at Freddy's free versions that people find. And they will make it all scary to make them think that they were actually in danger. But I just want to know two things. One, why did they get a free version of FNAF World when the game is actually free? And second of all, why did this person who made this malware version of FNAF World kind of cook without terrifying the characters look as well as the whole vibe of the game? I'd play this, I'm not gonna lie, I don't care about the virus. Give me all the viruses, bring them all in. Okay, but that was terrifying and such, but what about a version of FNAF World that is actually based on an actual thing in the game? Well, this next video is titled FNAF World Prototype Build Virus, Foxy.exe by Friday Night Fan 2500, which Foxy.exe is a reference to the minigame that you unlocked in the updated version of FNAF World where you can unlock Nightmare Own. But this version is, well, a bit more disturbing than the original. The video starts off with a Bandicam screen recording of FNAF World, with it looking a little off from the get-go. They click start, but as you can see, the faces of 3 of the animatronics are blacked out, and Foxy looks a little off. As well as this, the game loads, but we can see Foxy standing in the darkness as the light flickers. They go ahead and start with their first save slot, which for some reason triggers this sound to play. The game loads in with Bonnie asking where everyone is, and the player starts walking around the map looking for the various animatronics, with the first animatronic they come across being Foxy. They go to interact with him, but as soon as they do, we see he looks very different than how he should, with Bonnie saying, "Wait, Foxy? You look so different since the last time I saw you," with Foxy replying, saying, "Hello, Andrew. You might not recognize me, but I sure recognize you, Andrew. Why don't we play a game together?" Bonnie asking, "What are you talking about?" The game abruptly goes black before this. The player is dropped in a dark void-like area, tasked with finding this key, acting very similar to the original Foxy.exe minigame. The player continues on before collecting the key on the ground before finding a red portal. And we see this. Save slot 1 is unplayable, with Bonnie's mask ripped open, revealing the skeletal remains underneath, with this Foxy calling out to someone named Andrew as they played, who we know nothing about who they are for now. They are now locked into playing only the second save slot, so they do. The same thing begins to happen with them playing as Freddy now, and are looking for their friends. They walk around until they come to a teleport that takes them into the Freddy in space level, now having to fight enemies and travel forward, until at one point they come across this. They find Foxy, and Freddy asks what are they doing here. Foxy responding, "Hello Daniel, I can see you have made it this far to approach me." Freddy confused, saying that they have known each other for a long time, but Foxy says we only just met, Daniel. Freddy responds, "I don't think you're Foxy anymore," shooting Foxy with his laser, but immediately it goes wrong. Now Freddy is looking disheveled and broken apart, with the last slot available being slot 3 with Springtrap. They load in, Springtrap starts their dialogue saying it's too quiet, I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't be anywhere, spawning immediately in a gravesite. In the corner being a red portal. They go to it, and when they do, they find Foxy again. He says, "Hello, Mr. Afton. I've seen lots of familiar faces, and I will make sure you won't ever see the light of day, Mr. Afton." Springtrap asking how would you do that? Suddenly, Foxy changes into a bigger version of himself, continuing, "This will be your downfall, Afton." It cuts, sending them back into the void and starting a battle. He goes to bite, but then Foxy uses the hot cheese move, causing this. They are sent back to the home menu but can't click on any of the save slots, with all 3 being broken. But it doesn't end, with it suddenly going to static, the screen turning red and Foxy's face appearing from the darkness. He says, "How sad, not every story has happy endings. However, this is my story. This is my ending. This is my world, this is my immortality, and most importantly, I am your captain." And then finally, this. So if it wasn't obvious, this is also inspired by Sonic.exe, which the creator made it clear in the description of this video, but it was still a pretty interesting and scary take on the Foxy.exe minigame, and making that the central premise. With this also being a prototype and a virus version of the game that no one should download, with the text at the end of the screen being Japanese, which gives a warning to the player that their computer will be deleted in one day if they do not pay money. So, the usual virus antics. Next, I wanted to show FNAFWorld.exe, which is kind of the oldest version of these horror versions of FNAF World, but it's starting off as pretty normal. They go through the home screen and get the opening dialogue from Fredbear, when suddenly... They are taken back to the map when they come across Lolbit, where they say to them, "Your death awaits." They continue on and end up going through different warps throughout the game, and they seem to keep going on and on. But then they suddenly come across one where they end up in the dark with the only thing left is the head of William Afton. They go to interact and are sent into a battle with him. In the battle he says, "Do you think you could hurt me? There's no point. Your pathetic attacks won't do anything. This is a battle you can't win. You won't be able to run away from this." When suddenly we see them and they have a red slash on them. It sends the player back to the map where they fight them again and have the same dialogue, until he says, "You will join the rest of them." The player's health is drained and they get a game over screen. And then we see Scott Cawthon's sprite. He starts to talk and he says, "I hope you have learned your lesson about taking versions of games that aren't yours. This version was never meant to be seen by anyone. If anyone were to see this game, it would ruin the reputation I have. What you have seen is a beta version of the story that I quickly rewrote. If you ever record or upload this game to the public, you will be in trouble. Goodbye forever." Then suddenly he disappears before more text appears on screen, and it says, "You can't understand what you see in this miserable world. Never see what you see in the shadows. You will see what happens. M-A-N." Then we witness the player as an Error 404 on a different map, and they make their way through before... Okay, so this is obviously not the most creepy version of FNAF World there is, with a Baldi's basic jump scare, and it's just a little silly. But I just thought I would throw it in here because, I don't know, man. How many scary versions of FNAF World do you think there are? People need to invest in this right now. FNAF World spooky stocks are low as heck. The final thing I want to show off isn't actually a video, but a game that is currently on hold at the moment but is under development, called FNAF World Strings. It's essentially supposed to be a FNAF World game in the style of digital horror, and would have its own story and gameplay, with multiple images shown off by the developer of what this game will eventually look like. With us seeing this one-eyed Freddy, the simplified team selection screen, a chip screen, the marionette saying helpless, and quite a bit of others. The story of the game is also on the page, and this is what it says it'll be about. I know you may feel like going out and taking a stroll, but something seems very wrong today. All is not well in animatronica. There have been a lot of bizarre creatures roaming around lately, even some that look like, well, us. We aren't prepared to deal with situations like this. Go see what you can find, but be careful. A world beneath worlds reflects the actions and deeds of the flip side, where things have started becoming broken and distorted. Behind the scenes is something even more sinister, pulling the strings. Five Nights at Freddy's is no stranger to housing some of the largest amount of fan games and spin-offs using the same format as the original games. Whether it's Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese's, which makes the games come full circle with its inspiration being from pizzeria animatronics, or just simply FNAF games with people using their own original animatronics. But there's one specific game that is very well known and has garnered its own huge fan base, and that game is Five Nights at Treasure Island. What originally was a creepypasta going by the name Abandoned by Disney by Slime Beast, which follows an abandoned Disney park called Mowgli's Palace, in which hiding in the park is something sinister. An old costume of Mickey, except this Mickey is photo negative. Properly titled Photo Negative Mickey, reminiscent of other disturbing videos and creepypastas surrounding Mickey Mouse like SuicideMouse.avi. Which this story I believe is inspired by the actual abandoned Disney island off of Florida called Discovery Island, which hosted exotic birds and animals before being abandoned after the opening of Animal Kingdom. But following the creepypasta, a team of developers would start off making a game loosely based on the story, with Slime Beast being involved. The game would get a demo and Markiplier would even play it. But drama and controversy would slowly start happening behind the scenes of the game with developers and Slime Beast, and eventually leading to the game being cancelled. But later on, Radiant's team would pick up the game and finish it with the blessing of Slime Beast, and the game would get its full release as well as a remake on the way. Along with this, there are many other creations and fan games surrounding the series. Almost all are horrifying and disturbing in their own ways. But let's go back all the way to the beginning, to the original Five Nights at Treasure Island, with apparently there being another version of the original game, one that only a few people downloaded. And now we have evidence of this game existing. A YouTube video would be uploaded on the channel MEF, with their first video ever uploaded being titled FNATiBuild_333. Its description would say this: I recently discovered a strange version of Five Nights at Treasure Island, specifically version 1.0, which apparently masquerades as a build of the original game. This video analyzes what this mysterious game contains. So we have a simple mystery. There's a version of Five Nights at Treasure Island that is acting like the original game, but what's inside? Well, let's find out. The video starts off with text from the creator of the video, stating that Five Nights at Treasure Island is widely considered a standout among Five Nights at Freddy's fan games. Nearly a decade after its creation, it has become one of the most beloved and significant games in the community. Its creators are currently developing a new game, showing us screenshots of the newer version of Five Nights at Treasure Island. Continuing, they say, what is particularly remarkable about this project, however, is the existence of multiple versions and fan games based on it. There are numerous examples that support this claim. The spectrum of media adaptations is broad and includes remakes, revivals, builds, cancellations, and fan games, among others. In my extensive research on Five Nights at Treasure Island fan games, however, I came across an interesting phenomenon that had not been documented before. The game titled FNATiBuild_333. Appearing to be a build of the original Five Nights at Treasure Island or a variant thereof. However, the game's cover suggests that something is amiss. This is due not only to the high contrasted version of photo negative Mickey on the screen, but also because the user who created or re-uploaded this game is unknown, making it impossible to determine who is behind it. Furthermore, this game was released just a week after the original Five Nights at Treasure Island, which exasperated my curiosity about my recent discovery, showing the date of the game being released December 8th, 2014. With deep curiosity, I decided to explore the game to find out what it contains. However, due to concerns about the safety of my computer, I chose to install a virtual machine to facilitate execution of the game. Below, you will see the images I recorded of what I found in this mysterious version of Five Nights at Treasure Island. viewer discretion is advised. We would then cut to a Fraps recording of the user's desktop with the game sitting right there in the middle, where we can see what looks like a barely visible image of what looks like Mickey, but they look like they are screaming. They proceed to open the game where we would get a look at the home screen. Everything about this feeling eerie, with Mickey looking very off and the garbled noises in the background. And in the right-hand corner of the screen, the word fun. The game would start showing us that we were entering day 1, where we would jump into the beginning of the day, showing us the inside of what looks like a tunnel. We would also see the camera and a way of hiding underneath the desk. The person says, "Well, honestly, I didn't expect to see anything better," showing us what it looks like when you hide underneath the desk, which looks like there's practically nothing. And then the camera system, where the first cam shows us a room with a bunch of photo-negative Mickey posters and one saying, "Never give up." Another room that is barely visible, the inside of a vent system, a boardwalk-looking area, a dark hallway, and another barely visible area. The person making the video would continue saying, "I'm surprised there aren't many scenarios different from the original version of the game. Apparently this game works the same as the original Five Nights at Treasure Island, but obviously with some changes, though without straying from the original mold." They continue to flip through the cameras and check out the office, continuing saying, "I'm not sure if this version of photo-negative Mickey will work the same as the original, or will have the other features to prevent it. We'll just have to wait and see when it comes out, and hope we don't die trying." But suddenly something is heard moving around. We get our first look at Mickey as they stand doing a T-pose with their jaw hanging open and their eyes all wide. They start to move around the facility, with the player using the photo flash to get a photo of them, but it almost looks like it doesn't even affect Mickey continuing to move closer anyway. The player says, "This is where I started to feel really nervous, so if you see me rushing around, now you know why." Losing sight of Mickey and flipping through the cameras repeatedly, until... They use the camera to draw them back towards the original room, which is terrifying that they were even able to get that close in the first place. They say, "Well, that answers my question about whether this version of Mickey has the same mechanics as the original character. And apparently this game also has voice lines for the characters, just like the original game." It cuts to later in the night, where we are told that Mickey has become even more persistent as the night goes on, and it's really making them nervous. Where we see them pop in the office again, and the player continues to try and make Mickey go to other places in the facility, saying, "I have no idea if I'm halfway through the night or not. It doesn't even show what time of night it is. What a mess." With whoever we are watching becoming more and more shaken up by this game and disturbed as the night goes on, seeming like they are genuinely afraid of this version of photo-negative Mickey. With it getting to a point where the game seems to change later in the night, we're now photo-negative Mickey not appearing on the cameras, leaving them with no idea of where they are anymore, asking, where the heck did they go? Flipping through the cameras over and over, until they tell us that after they had disappeared, they wouldn't reappear after several minutes, and had thought the game had crashed and almost closed it and gave up. But then proceeds to show us something completely disturbing. Following this, the virtual machine was uninstalled after this happened. After restarting the computer, the game was gone. Instead, there was a downloaded image containing this. It's a distorted version of Mickey drawn on a paper, saying, "Don't worry, I know you lost the game, but I want you to know that I support you. Keep trying and you'll get it. Go ahead and give it your best shot. If necessary, you can try again and again until you succeed. With a little dedication, attention to mistakes, and repetition, you'll get the results you're looking for. My creator has taught me the importance of perseverance. Keep moving forward." From Varmint Rodent Pals. They tell us that they are glad they installed the virtual machine because this really caught them off guard and could have ended in a major disaster otherwise. However, they think that this doesn't end here, and there is much more to this game than meets the eye, and wants to explore it. And tells us that there is more coming and not to download anything strange from the internet, and leaves us on that note. In which they did upload another video, but before that, we should go back to when Mickey was attacking during night 1, with multiple text phrases popping up very briefly, with these 3 phrases showing up. With them being all Caesar shifts, in which the letters are shifted halfway through the alphabet. Translated, they say, "What are you doing here? Let me hear you cry of joy." And "Don't be afraid, Donna." With Donna being this person that was supposed to be in the original Five Nights at Treasure Island, but was removed and never made it into the game. Following this video, we would get a second and final upload titled FNAF Build _333 Scary Menu Easter Egg Re-Upload. The description saying, "This video was originally uploaded by user RobertIron17 on December 20th, 2014. The most curious thing is that it was the last video on the channel before it was mysteriously deleted. Both the thumbnail and the video description seem to have been lost, but the video itself has been recovered." Meaning that the person we are watching found what is essentially lost media of this game, but why it was deleted is unknown. But it's either the case of something like the channel just getting wiped off YouTube, or something more sinister happened to this user who played this version of Five Nights at Treasure Island. We start off this video with Robert saying, "Most of you are familiar with the fan game Five Nights at Treasure Island from Markiplier's recent video, in which he played the game. That's what sparked my interest in the game, and I looked for it on GameJolt. However, I came across a strange version called FNAF Build _333. I installed the game and got ready to play to see what I could find. As I was getting ready to play, something happened that appeared to be an Easter egg. See for yourself." With us getting a view of the game and it's starting out like it did originally, except as the game sat on the home screen, it began to change a little bit, with distorted musical notes starting to play and the Mickey starting to warp slowly, until... This version of Mickey says, "Hey, wanna see my face?" before revealing the face of a man underneath the Mickey costume, before the game would close and delete itself, and Robert would say that they would reinstall soon and let us know what's in it. And we'll try and get a new video editor because it sucks to work with Windows Movie Maker. So what exactly is happening here? Well, from the looks of it, this build of Five Nights at Treasure Island seems to resemble that of the original abandoned by Disney, but with an internet horror twist. With the original story surrounding this Mickey having it where when they caught up with their protagonists, they had tried removing their head, saying, "Hey, wanna see my head come off?" And when doing so, yellow blood would spill out and something rotting was inside the suit, making it unknown whether or not someone was actually inside the suit. But this game eludes the idea that someone was inside, haunting this suit, and that whoever it is seems to be angry. With it seeming like the spirit of the photo-negative Mickey possibly making this game come into existence, or possessing the original Five Nights at Treasure Island game and creating its own version for unsuspecting players to download. Its ultimate goal is unknown, but we do see the name Donna referenced, what could be just them calling out that name because this version has Donna as a character, or looking for an actual real person named Donna. All speculation for now. Also, something I want to go back to is the letter from Varmint Rodent Pals, which suggests that we are going to see multiple of the characters from Five Nights at Treasure Islands, and not just photo-negative Mickey, who is currently the sole focus. I imagine we'll be seeing characters like Oswald and The Face. But along with this, there is something that is mentioned very briefly, and it's the line, "My creator has taught me the importance of perseverance." And also, the line, "Keep moving forward." So what does this mean? Who is the creator? Are they talking about Walt Disney being the person who created the Mickey Mouse characters and pretty much everything Disney related, and that this is alluding to the idea that Walt Disney has some involvement? Or this could be talking about the creator of the game, or even the person who made the Mickey Mouse suit. Well, I am leaning towards the idea of it being Walt Disney they're talking about, because of a quote that they made a long time ago, being, "We keep moving forward, opening up new doors and doing new things, because we're curious, and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. We're always exploring and experimenting. At WED, we call it Imagineering." So maybe, just maybe, this version of faux negative Mickey has to do with Walt Disney, and it being the result of Imagineering. But that's the only connections I could find for now in terms of that, and who the creator they're referencing is. Also, there's the name of the game, being Fanati Build _333, which could be a reference to Club 33 from Disney, a private membership club that is extremely expensive and difficult to join, and the theories and the ideas that Club 33 is a cult. But that's just because most people haven't seen the inside of Club 33, and very few people are a member. But the name of the club is 33 and not 333, so probably not related. 333 is also an angel number, but doesn't seem like there's anything heavenly here, so for now the significance is unknown. There are going to be more uploads of this channel in the future apparently, so we'll get to see if there are any answers in the near future surrounding this version of Five Nights at Treasure Island. Thank you for sticking around to watch my FNAF Internet Horror compilation. I might be taking a very small break for a little bit from the channel, but I won't be completely gone, because I'm going to be uploading on my second channel where I do a different type of content, so if you want to see what I get up to, then it'd be great if you could go check that out. And again, the makeshift plush petition starts July 3rd, 2026, 2:30 PM EST, for those who want to have an Orbit plush, which will be linked in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all later.